As you can see, we are joined by Tim, aka Him Gray, friend of the show, veteran on the show now.
Timothy Gray.
Good to see you, Tim. It's our NFL preview show, much anticipated, both in the streets and by the hosts themselves. We have been looking forward to this. I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about this upcoming season, whether it be about your respective favorite teams, whether it be about just the landscape of the NFL in general. I cannot wait. So
it's going to be great. I just want to say real quick, only got one ever made. Warner Brothas podcast T-shirt. Let's go.
One of one.
One of one.
You better sign that.
Don't worry. There'll be more down the line. There's definitely going to be more coming. But I just wanted to rep. I'm repping the brand right now. Warner Brothas podcast. We're here.
WBP merch
all right.
On the way.
On the way. Long on the way, but it's on the way. All right. So, without further ado, let's go AFC and AFC East. Actually, yeah, we're going AFC East. I always go East, West, North, South. East, AFC East. Timmy, we're going to start with you. Okay. Go for it.
You want me to do it from bottom to top? Or you want?
Whoa.
Let me give some background. Let me give some background to the previews.
Okay.
I would say, about 10, 12 years ago, me and Keenan were doing podcasts, preview podcasts before we were doing podcasts. You know what I mean? Like no audio, just us in the crib doing previews for really NFL and NBA. And the quick formula, not that it's a big deal, but the formula we usually do, if you guys want to do it this way, we'll do it rapid fire. We'll do it like you said, AFC East. Like we'll go, if the first team's the Jets, we'll all say the Jets. We'll start with Tim, go to Keenan, then I can finish. We'll do it like that. So we'll do like Jets, Bills, whatever order we have. But we'll do it rapid fire like that. Get through it quickly. Then we'll do our regular season awards for y'all. We will do that. We'll move and do our playoffs after that. Actually, will be our championship weekend as well as our Super Bowl winner. And then a staple of these previews, I think, Keenan, once upon a time, we used to do like 10 bold predictions, maybe even 5. It was
we absolutely
between 5 and 10. For your sake, we're going to cut it to
we just did them in the house.
Spitballing random shit.
It was just you and I. No one else saw these. The first one I remember doing for the NBA was 2012, 2013. I did them before. Like I used to make lists all the time because I was me and I love lists. Because I vividly remember saying Melo was going to be the MVP
and he got one whole vote.
And he ended up stealing. I was going to say he stole the one vote from LeBron, so he wasn't unanimous. On the six, I was going to say whoever. I mean, LeBron should have been unanimous. There were 66 and 16, 26 game winning or 27 game winning. But let me not go on. All right. Anyways,
but
AFC East,
we're going to condense the whole predictions 3 apiece, 9 total. Maybe we'll throw a bonus in there for 10. But 3 apiece, 9 total. But yes, Keenan, Tim, we'll start with Tim. Without further ado, choose whatever AFC East team you want to start with, and we will rapid fire it, and then we will follow it up with discussion.
So I'm gonna pick the Jets.
Go ahead. I'm interested.
And you want me to just say where I got them? What's
the record?
Is?
What's their final record?
I got them at 14-3. I think they're the best team in the East.
Holy shit!
I do.
14-3.
Mm-hmm.
With a tough schedule, I will say. We'll go back to that.
They're a tough team.
Their first 6, they might lose 3 games in their first 6. They are tough.
Maybe that's how I had them picked.
We're gonna go back to that, Keenan. What you got?
I like them.
I've Jets. I got them 11-6.
I'll say this: I have them here as 9-8, but I'm gonna bump them up to 10-7. Got them at 10-7.
Jets 10-7.
Would not be surprised to see a 9-8, 8-9 finish from them. Tim, let's hear it. 14-3. Take it away.
I think this team, I've said it last time I was here, they've got the defense to pretty much put them in any ball game. And if last year they just had a quarterback that could throw for 200 and a touchdown every game, they would have won probably 12 or 13. So I think 14's pretty good. He's also a former MVP. He's got his offensive coordinator. He could literally have an MVP season this year, and it would not shock me. And if that's the case, he was bringing the Packers to 13 wins. He could take this team to 14, no problem. So I like him a lot. Plus, You did say they have a tough start to their schedule, but it's really hard. I like this team. When I look at the head-to-head, I can't say I like the opposite team more than this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So,
okay, we'll get it at the end of the AFC East. I'll give my retort to that. What's your second team?
I got an instant retort.
Yeah.
Oh wait, unless you have one now, Kyle.
Sure.
Unless you want one now. Okay, if you want one now, we'll start. I'll go now. That's fine. You go first, though.
My hold up. I agree with everything you said. If the Jets have a better quarterback last year, they're a fringe contender probably. You know, that defense is every bit of legit.
Yep.
My hang up would be, I mean, let me compare a couple things here with Rodgers. This is essentially like Brady going to the Bucs, right? Brady didn't have the best season in New England coming off. It wasn't a bad season. It just wasn't typical Tom Brady, right? And then he comes back to the Bucs and he's got more weapons and he looked like peak Tom Brady, damn near, right? So there is a world where that's exactly what happens to Aaron Rodgers. He's got more weapons, da-da-da-da-da. My retort to that would be, it was just, 8 months ago, we saw him in essentially a must-win playoff game against the Lions. He couldn't get it done. Was that a home game as well? That was in Green Bay. That's not very Aaron Rodgers-like. You combine that with going to a tough division with, as me and Keenan said, all three of us said, it's a tough schedule, tough division. There is going to be growing pains. It is New York. It is the New York media. I could see a world where this is just a fucking circus. I really could. I mean, Aaron Rodgers ain't one to shy away from quotes. Aaron Rodgers ain't one to shy away from throwing a teammate under the bus or a coach under the bus with a quote here and there in the media. So I could see a world where it's just not all peaches and cream. I certainly don't see 14-3. I think at the most I could see them being an 11-12 win team, but I think there is going to be some growing pains. Trust me, every bit of me, like I don't hate any single team in professional sports more than I hate the Jets. So can't wait. Like if this is a 6-win team, I will love it more than anybody on earth. That being said, there is too many positives here. I don't like the offensive line. That could be a downside to it. But like Tim said, there's just so much positive there. Aaron Rodgers just has to be good enough. He doesn't even have to be a Pro Bowl level quarterback. He could be his version of a game manager, which is better than everyone else. So I think they'll at least get to 10 wins. It will be tough. We're going to see red off with this Buffalo game on Monday night. I certainly can't wait. I know y'all can't wait. So that's my case. And that's, that's better than the prognosis I had yesterday. But cooler heads prevailed. I got them.
Okay.
I won't spoil the rest. I won't spoil the rest of the division, but I do have them at 10 wins with a ceiling of 12 and a floor of 8.
Okay. Real quick before we go on to the next team. They're in arguably the toughest division in football. You've got a Patriots team that's very well coached with the greatest coach of all time. You've got a Buffalo team who's been perennially in the playoffs, and you've got a Dolphins team who has all the skill in the world. They would be definitely even a little higher on the worldwide ticker if Jalen Ramsey wasn't going to be out for a while. You've got a Chargers team that's going into the season healthy. Will they remain healthy? We don't know. But that Chargers team, the Broncos are going to be a better team. The Chiefs are going to be obviously the Chiefs. The NFC North is going to be a very tough division, and you have obviously just Jacksonville and whatever you want to count the AFC South. The reason why I say that is that means 11 of the 16 teams, or 15 taking out them, are going to be tough games if whoever they play. I don't remember their schedule, everything off the top of my head. And then the NFC, I don't even remember what division we play this year, to be honest with you. I think NFC we play the East. We do play the East because we play the Eagles week 1. So you've got Dallas, you've got Philly. We got Dallas, we got Philly, we got the Giants, we got Washington. I don't see 14. I can't see 14, especially because if you're thinking about the Tom Brady-led Bucs or you're thinking about the Los Angeles Rams, the last two people who had quarterbacks go to a situation they won championships, they both started off cold because it's still a lot to work in. I understand you have Nat Hackett, but it's still in a different place with different people. You still got to build a rapport there. So it's going to be interesting because the Bucs went into the bye 6-5, and then they just coasted. They didn't lose a game until next year. So it's going to be interesting to see. I got them 11-6, as I said. I think, like Kyle, their floor is about 8. I think their ceilings, for me, 12, possibly 13, and that's if they hit the ground running.
I will say this.
It's not too far from 14.
I will say this: I don't want to cut into your whole entire prediction, Tim. But 14-3, that's got to make them your 1 seed, correct? All right.
It is. Yep.
All right.
Top of the division.
Next team. Go ahead, Tim.
We can go right into the Dolphins because they're my second team in the division. I got them 13-4. I think they're also going to have a static year.
Shit.
Just think, this division is good, so there's going to be good teams, right? There's a lot of AFC teams that are dog water, that are close to 0 wins. So I like the Dolphins. I think their offense keeps them in every game.
Keen, what you got?
Okay. I've got them also 11-6. So I think the Dolphins are going to be a very good team. I think if they can protect Tua and Tua can stay healthy, they've got one of the most dynamic offenses in the league. They've got probably a top 2 wide receiver duo, and Hill and Waddle. The only one that would rival them, in my opinion, would be Chase and Higgins. Defensively, they definitely upgraded in the offseason. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey being hurt doesn't help, or being out for a long period of time doesn't help, but they will get him towards the end of the season. So that will be helpful for them as well. But I definitely think they're a very good team. They'll be obviously competing every week, and I do think that they will go 11-6.
I'm moving some of these teams around from the original record I have, whether it's a bump here or there. I'm going to have the Dolphins at 9-8. My biggest concern with the Dolphins, I do love the improvements on defense. I do love Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. But it all falls with, it's the same thing every year. It's Tua. Tua had a really good season when he was healthy last year. When healthy, that's the biggest question, especially with the head injuries. But my main thing still with Tua, and I get he's got Hill, he's got Waddle. They got weapons on offense. He really, he's a one-trick pony. If he can see Tyreek deep, that's what they're going to do. He can be mobile. That is great. But he's not one of these guys who's going to go through 2, 3, 4 reads, go through his progressions, and then, make his decision. He's just not. He's, this offense is tailor-made for him, which is great. Mike McDaniel does a great job with that. But the schedule they're going to be playing between the AFC East already, obviously, the division, the defenses are great there. But mix that with the NFC East, you got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles. I don't know. They're going to make Tua work, and I just don't see it. I don't see him necessarily getting benched, but I do see regression from him. He will have his explosive games. He will have those games where, he hits Tyreek twice for like 60 yards, and, that offense looks insane. And, I think the run game is going to be better as well, but I see regression. I have them at 9-8. Ceiling of 11 games.
Right.
Ceiling of
Timmy,
11 games, floor of 6. 6 wins is a floor.
Floor of 6. All right. Timmy, you go next.
My next team is the Bills. I got them 12-5.
So as the AFC East,
you can see how this last team in this division, probably their record looks.
I can
just
already
from
tell
these
because you told me
records,
last year where you got the Pats at, so I already know.
Yeah.
They might have 5 wins.
So what you're trying to tell me is one division's going to get 45-ish wins. That is wild.
I think
that is nuts.
I think all 3 of these teams are pretty close in star power. Probably not overall rosters, but star power, they all got them. They all got superstars.
Yeah, they definitely have stars. They definitely have very big stars there. So you've got them 12-5. I've got the Bills 10-7. I do think the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs is a little bit of a thing. Sean McDermott kind of said it was a thing. So I do think the rapport there, it's not obviously broken or anything. It's not like a fracture, but it's a little hairline fracture. Something you got to worry about, something you got to see. The AFC, every team has gotten better. New England has gotten a little bit better because I think Mac's going to be better. And by default, getting Patty P out there, pushing P, get him out the door. By default, your offense is better. By default, your offense is better that you got a human offensive coordinator. The Jets clearly got better with Aaron Rodgers, and then the Dolphins, I think, got a little better because they still have their high-powered offense and got their defense. So I do think the Bills will take a step back from obviously winning the division because clearly I have the Dolphins and the Jets at 11-6. But Kyle,
I got the Bills as well at 10-7. My biggest concern with them would be the defense. I don't think they're the most physical team. Looks like Von Miller's going to be out a little longer. I do like the improvements they made with the run game, signing Dame Harris. I feel like they'll be going to that a little more. Josh Allen will be healthier from the start, so he'll be running a little more, I would assume. That almost makes me want to bump them up to 11. The fact that, the possibility of him being healthy the whole entire year, that elbow's better. But just, again, the combination of the division as well as the NFC East, I got them at 10 wins, and that's my case for them. They're kind of a prove-it team for me as far as the postseason. Probably for everybody. I wouldn't be surprised to see them regress. But the fact that Josh Allen is, in fact, healthy, that does make a world of difference because he is probably head-to-head with Aaron Rodgers, probably still the best quarterback in the division. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I clearly think he is. I think he's a tier above Aaron Rodgers right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I have him in my quarterback ranking that I put, so I agree with that. All right, and clearly for all of us, the last team is going to be the Patriots. Or not, the last team is the Patriots. Where they are is obviously it's different. But Timmy, you go on.
I have the Patriots last. I have them going 5-12. Bad season.
I don't hate it if that's the 1 or 2 seed, but
I don't think that is.
If they're like the 5, if that's like the 5 seed, then I'm or 5.
Hey, if they're the 5th pick,
a little upset.
They might be able to trade it. That's a good pick, So
it's a great pick. I mean, you can work with that pick for sure. It's just
especially for the Cardinals.
I'm not. Listen, if you can get Kyler Murray or the first pick, whatever you want. All right, but so me, Patriots, I got them 9-8. I kind of alluded to it last pod that I had them right around that 500 mark. I think Bill and that defense is too good to let them only have 5, and I think the offense isn't good enough to get them to like 11 or 12. So I have them right around. I think their peak would be 11. I think their floor is around 6, 7, but I have them right now at 9-8.
Complete agreement with Keenan. If this was going to be a 5-win team, that year would have been last year, I believe. Having Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator. Just all the dumb mistakes they made. They were truly a bad team, and they were still, whiskers away from the playoffs, truly. Weirdly enough, what's even weirder about this team is there's a world where they're like an 11-win team last year, and I don't understand how. This defense...
Well, yeah, I mean, that Chandler Jones play.
The fumble on Christmas Eve, even the Packers game. The Packers game went to OT. And having their starting quarterback out with Bailey Zappi in and out. Like, that was the year to go 5-12. Max should be better by default. All the questions with his team lie in the offense. The defense was, as I've said, a Super Bowl defense last year, and they only improved. That alone is going to keep them in games. The firepower they will be facing, though, again, 4th time I'm going to mention this. Division combo with the NFC East. I'm docking them a little bit. I got them at 8 and 9. It's a prove-it team for me. Head-to-head, I truly do almost like them better than the Dolphins. But they just have so much to prove to me. I got them right now last in the division at 8 and 9. But there is a lot I like about this team. I can't wait to watch the defense. Can't wait to see if Mac has improved. Mac Jones, to me, is in a similar place as Daniel Jones was last year, where you see these flashes, you see these good throws from Daniel Jones, then you'll see these boneheaded plays. And then, as we saw, you just need kind of the right coach, the right OC, the right team around you to put you in good positions. And I think Mac's capable of that. He's got accuracy to his game. He's got poise to his game. We just got to see it all put together. Last year was an unfair year for him. But to say that will get them to 10 or 11 wins, I can't see it right now. But that defense is absolutely legit. I think this is going to be, if this makes sense, I could see them having less wins but be a better team. If that makes any sense at all, just due to the schedule. But I am tempering my expectations right now. That being said, if I see them go, like 3-2 over the first 5 weeks, I'm going to be pretty hyped. But I see a world with that, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a tough division. I think they're all going to be scrapping for wins. And, I can't wait. Let's move on to the next division.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
So, I was gonna say quickly recap. Kyle, you had the Bills winning the division.
They're tied with the Jets. I'll give the nod to the Bills just because fuck the Jets. I do want to say,
Yep.
if Bill Belichick, if he goes to the storage room, he brings out the cameras, it's all over for everybody. We might be a 12-win team if Bill brings out the HD, the 4K cameras this year. You never know. So if we got the cameras in the cut,
Okay.
it's going to be over for the league. Mac Jones might look like TB12 mixed with AR12. So who knows?
All right. So
that's if the cameras come out.
AR12. So Kyle's got the Bills. I've got the Dolphins as my division winner, and Timmy has the Jets as his division winner. To move on to the AFC. Oh no, you got a point?
Yep.
Sorry. Okay, you go, Tim, and then we move on to the AFC West afterwards. So you just hop into that right after.
I'm big on the Jets, and I'll try to find the text on here. I sent a text to Camden at the beginning of last school year, so it was a while ago. It was after the Aaron Rodgers trade to the Jets, so it wasn't that long.
Yeah,
but still long. And I sent him a text. And I said, mark it right here. The Jets are going to win the AFC East this year. I got them there. I like them.
There's a world. I do want to say we did not mention about the Jets. And his fucking name's escaping me right now. What's their head coach's name? Saleh. That's right.
Robert Saleh.
Relatively unproven. Like, we don't really know. Like, his game management isn't necessarily great. So I would be interested in how he does in these big games. Like, these games are actually going to have some meaning. I don't think he handled the quarterback position that well last year. So I think he's not necessarily a question mark, but, just a hash mark. He's really unproven right now. So that'd be the only other thing I'd have to add to the Jets. I'd have for sure McDermott and Belichick ahead of him in the division. You could even make a case for Mike McDaniel being ahead of him in the division. So there's a case that he's the worst coach in the division. But
I apologize. I needed the Patriots helmet to show.
I still can't see it, but we'll probably see it in the full video.
Can't see it either.
And the wide screen, you can see it. So that's what.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It'll be a little muffled, but
Headphones.
I might.
We'll get you the QB mic too, or the OC mic.
Get you a piece of paper and you just
After I talk for 20 seconds, though, just cut off the mic so I can't hear myself. Just cut it off. All right, AFC West, Timmy.
Oh, going down to the West. Start out right with the Chiefs. I got them winning it again. Wow, crazy prediction. I got them at 12-5.
Chalk.
I think, especially with this news with Travis Kelce, if this is a sprain and not just a hyperextension, this could be weeks, especially at his age, of him missing time. I really hope it's not. I want him to be here because he's electric. He's obviously makes every game entertaining. But if Travis Kelce misses a month or two, I can't say that they're winning as many games. So I got him down at 12-5. I did make these predictions today. So having that said, I don't think he plays this Thursday.
I agree. What did you have them at originally before the injury?
I didn't actually have them. I think I would have said that they were like a 13-win team, but I didn't actually make a rankings before the Travis Kelce. But as of today, with that news, I got them at 12-5.
All right. I'll go next real quick. I actually have them at 13-4. I had them at 13-4 this entire time. I am not going to switch off of that now. If Travis Kelce is out for a long period of time, that could definitely go down to 12-5, even maybe 11-6, all depending, and I wouldn't be shocked. But I still think with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, as we used to say with the Patriots, Kyle, when you have the probably best coach and best quarterback in the league tandem together, it's hard to lose. So I got them 13-4.
I'm struggling with this one. Look, if Kelce is out for, let's say, a month, then I'm going to hold firm with this.
Yep.
I'm going to say I'll give them 11-6 for right now. I was going to say 10-7, but
okay.
I don't necessarily love their receiving core. I don't love the Chris Jones situation. That being said, Andy Reid's such an offensive genius. He's going to figure it out no matter who he has.
Yep.
That division's tough. That division's going to be more in line with what we thought it was going to be last year, I believe. Like I think that the Broncos already give them okay games. I think that's going to be enhanced with Sean Payton. You know what? The more I'm talking, I'm going to bump that down to 10-7. So I got them at 10-7, still in the playoffs. I just clearly don't have them as my division winner. But yeah, 10-7 for the Chiefs.
Okay. Timmy.
Moving right down, the 2 seed, the Los Angeles Chargers. I got them 11-6. I think Herbert could have a great year this year. I think he could be potentially an MVP candidate. But the defense to me, I really don't like it. They seem to be kind of wholly everywhere. Like, sure, they got Bosa. He's great. But other than that, I can't really name any stars.
Derwin James. But other than
that's
that,
facts. That's facts. Derwin James, and they got the corner from the
JC.
Patriots like 2 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
J.C. Jackson. Like what the Chargers have pieces. It's just the fact that they always get hurt. So their pieces. So it's hard for them always to have pieces
To put together an actual season every year. So.
Yep.
But I still think they're a good team. 11 wins is a good team. They're going to be competitive. So.
100%. And I couldn't agree with you more. I have them at 11-6, second in the division.
Wow.
I do think they do have enough pieces. Actually, Asante Samuel Jr. is also solid as well. Eric Kendrick. I think they've got the making to where if they went to the Super Bowl, like you couldn't be like flabbergasted. It's just if you can stay healthy or not, because you've got a very good receiving core. You've got one of the best running backs in the league. The one thing that's tough about them is not even really tough about them. They've bolstered their offensive line as well. It's really just can they put it all together and can they stay healthy? 11-6 is where I got them. They have a ceiling, honestly, of 13 if everything's clicking. They have a floor of 8 because they could just get injured. We'll see what Kellen Moore does to that offense. I think Kellen Moore will probably bring a happier pass offense, and I think Herbert, you're going to see him, even obviously they were passing before, but you're going to see Herbert in better positions than you did have in the past. So I think that'll be interesting, and I got them 11-6.
I'm right in line with both of you guys. I actually have them at 12-5. So last year for the Super Bowl, it was Eagles-Chiefs. I ended up picking the Chiefs. And really, the reason why I picked them was kind of law of averages. Like, if Mahomes is going to be in multiple Super Bowls, he's got to steal one somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't think he's just going to end with one, was basically my thesis, even though I thought the Eagles were the better team. Similar here. I think the Chiefs are the best team in this division, but everything you guys outlined, the talent that the Chargers have, one of these years is going to fall for them. It just has to. And I think it's this year. I think they steal the division from the Chiefs. Whether that will translate to postseason success, we will see. But I do think they get the division. I like the addition of Kellen Moore. Like Keenan said, I think the offense is going to click a little more. They got enough pieces on defense to where they can win there. You know what I mean? I hate the head coach. Can't stand Staley. You know, if this is the case, they are a 12-win team and they go to the playoffs and they get a home game or two and they lose, I think Staley's out of there. I think that would do wonders for Herbert's career because I think he is a bottom-tier head coach with what could be a Super Bowl roster. So I got the Chargers at 12-5, the class of the division. Will that translate to postseason success? Remains to be seen. But regular season, I love them. I think Herbert has a big year, and like Tim said, in the MVP conversation.
Alrighty, and Timmy, you?
I know you guys aren't going to like this, but these next two teams, I think they're actually pretty close record-wise. A lot of people like the Broncos, but I'm actually going to go to the Raiders next.
Interesting.
I got them 5-12. I think they're an interesting team. They don't really have a defense. Uncertainty with Jimmy Garoppolo. The offense probably won't be as good as it was last year, but I don't know. I got them at 5 wins, and I don't got the Broncos much better, so...
Wait, why do you think we dislike that?
I think a lot of people are on the Broncos this year going to be good because of the whole Sean Payton thing, having like a bounce back, Russell Wilson bounces back. Then if that's the case, they're a 10-win team. So if I'm out here saying they're a 5-win team, we're completely on the opposite side of the spectrum here. So sorry, I keep losing headphones. But next...
All right. So I've actually got Vegas 5-12 as well. I think that they've got arguably, obviously, you could argue the best receiver in the league, but obviously, I have Justin Jefferson. Actually, I have a list of the top 25 receivers. I just put it together over the last 2 days. Something I'll unveil maybe today or other days. I don't really know yet. But regardless, I think that they have a couple pieces here and there, but I really don't think that they're great. I mean, Chandler Jones can't even get into the team locker room. A team's facility. He has to go to a different gym. One of the most random things I've ever seen in my life. Your best defensive player can't get into the arena. Crazy.
Is there a reason why?
Brand new.
They're trying to be
like the code don't work. Like, what is it?
Yeah, he just.
I don't know. He put on his he put on his IG story that like I'm locked out. I can't get in. I have to go to some local gym. All right, and regardless, but yeah. So with that being said, they've got Josh McDaniels, Mick Lombardi, both from the Patriots. I think they're just not that great.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else to it.
I've got them a little better than both of y'all. I got them at 7-10. Really just because of the talent they do have on the roster. It's in pieces. It's really in pieces, whether it's at receiver, whether it's at tight end, whether it's, you got Crosby on defense. You got pieces here and there, but it's not a complete team. McDaniels is pretty hit or miss as a coach. I think him and Jimmy G will have synergy, but I don't know. I don't know how happy Devontae Adams is going to be catching 4-yard outs, 4-yard slants from Jimmy G. So it remains to be seen. There is a world where there are like a 9-win team, but that's really the ceiling I have for them is probably 9 wins. They do play the Chiefs well. They could steal a couple from the Broncos, but overall I got them at 7-10. I just want to say, Keenan, happy to hear this list is coming out. Obviously, me and Camden had our umbrage with the Towns in your top 25 players being ahead of Bam and some other players. Kyler Murray was that for me at 10 on the quarterback list. Still flabbergasted by that. I don't even use flabbergasted, but you said flabbergasted like about 5 minutes ago, so I think it fits. I don't even know if Kyler Murray might be like a top 18 quarterback to me, but I don't know if I could have him in my top 15. But he's lower tier to me. But your list is your list. So I just want to say I'm ready for whatever when it comes to this wide receiver list. Like,
I get it. I really do get the Kyler thing, and it's because he's got like top 10 talent, like the way he can run, the way he can throw the ball, his decision making, but like obviously your best ability is availability. That has not been great for him. And obviously off the field does matter too. And if he's worried about COD dropping in November rather than going into the playbook, I understand what you're saying.
So I get it. Could you put down the PlayStation controller and just put a little bit of effort in the playbook?
If
New England on Sunday,
if New England could get him, I'd be happy. But if New England got him, I'd be happy. But regardless, no, not at all. And it could honestly, I could see it happening because I could see the Cardinals not being that great. We'll get to what I think they'll actually be in a moment. But last team, Denver. Tim, you kind of alluded to it, but put it in stone.
I got them at 5-12 as well. I think they're going to be competing for the worst spot in this division. I think the Raiders beat them, and I guess their division record would be better. That's why they're a seat ahead of them. But
yep,
I got them also 5-12.
So I've got this team 8-9. I think they're definitely going to improve. You got Javonte Williams coming back. He's definitely a very good running back. You've got Russell Wilson with Sean Payton. I think that you're going to see Russell, because the way Russell hasn't been running, I think you're going to see Russell Wilson kind of be used like Drew Brees was in the last of his years, where it's going to be a lot of underneath routes. It's going to be putting people in the best position easiest. Jerry Jeudy's obviously, his health is in question. Tim Patrick, again, missed another year. So you got Courtland Sutton, you've got Greg Dolch, and then kind of throwing it around with receivers. Defensively, they've always been a stout defense, so I think they're going to be in games. But I don't fully trust Russell Wilson, and I don't think Sean Payton, as good as a coach as he is, I don't think he's that. So I got him 8-9.
I got him 8-9 as well. I would disagree with Keenan on this one point. I do think Sean Payton is every bit of that coach. Like I think when when he left the game, he's a top 5 coach. So whether he comes back to being a top 5 coach, it's kind of subjective, I guess. But look, everything, whatever their record is, I kind of have them like the Pats. I have them at 8 and 9 because it's kind of like a show me thing. If Russ is like 80% of what he used to be, there's a world where this is somehow like an 11-win team and they're really like on the Chiefs and on the Chargers' heels. I don't believe that's going to happen. I do think Russ has truly regressed. I do think he's going to be better. They paid Stidham a lot to be their backup, which shows you what they think. So I just don't know. That being said, the one difference, even though Breeze might not have been physically really anything at all those last few years, much like Roethlisberger, where they just didn't have an arm, he still has more accuracy than Russ. So I really want to see how much Russ takes control of this offense, how much he buys in, because that was really the big thing with Pete Carroll in Seattle was he wanted a completely different offense. So I'm interested because this could go bad. There is a world where it is, a 5-12 team, like Tim said, especially if they hold on to Russ a little bit. Like let him play 6 weeks when it's not going well. And, they throw Stidham in there and he could be very well the career backup that he is, But there is a lot there, whether it's the receiving core, their tight ends. They got a decent line. Their defense, like Keenan said, it's stout. They got a good home field advantage. But it really all lies on Russ because I think Sean Payton will be an improvement. Whether we'll see it immediately, I think it will be. I mean, how can you not improve from Nat Hackett? He was by far the worst coach in the NFL last year.
Oh, you'll improve
if
for
Russ
sure.
can even be a Pro Bowl, yeah, exactly. If Russ can be a Pro Bowl level quarterback, they could be right in the mix. So, but they're a prove-it team, much like New England. So I got them at 8 and 9.
Absolutely agree with that. They definitely could be in the mix. All right, AFC North. Timmy, number 1 team in the AFC North. This division's interesting because there's a lot of things that can go on in this division. So very interesting.
This one actually surprised me when I was doing the games for this one. My number 1 team for this division is the Ravens. I got them at 13 and 4. I think they win this division. That's what it's going to take to win this division, I think.
I can agree with the fact that they would need around 13 or whatever to win the division. The Ravens, I have the Ravens at 11 and 6. I do think that offense is going to be very good. Lamar's got the best weaponry he's ever had, but it's still not like amazing. You have Zay Flowers, Odell, who's coming off injury, so we'll see how he is. Bateman, actually, hopefully he's got a full season ahead of him. So, like, they've definitely got some pieces. Dobbins, we'll see if he stays healthy, too. But it's definitely going to be obviously Mark Andrews. It's going to be interesting. They've got a very good offensive line, but they do have a new offensive coordinator. So we'll see how that goes and how that transition is. He has worked with mobile quarterback before. He worked at Georgia. Last he was at Georgia, so he had the oh my God, why can't I think of his name right now? Georgia's quarterback just came into the draft. Oh my God. Yeah, Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett is a mobile. Not that he's Lamar mobile at all,
He's
but
more
like
mobile.
you still have some kind of you still have to draw it up a little bit. What?
I said he's more mobile.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But no, I think this Ravens team's going to be a very good team. They'll be in every game. 11 and 6 is where I got them.
I had them originally at 10 and 7, but you swayed me to 11 and 6. You'll see.
I love it.
Not to give much away, but I don't have anybody really with super high win totals just because I feel like you have to be like truly elite to get that. And in their case, they're much like the AFC East, where it's just a loaded division, top to bottom. So I've got them at 11 and 6. Everything that Keenan said, this offense is going to improve. Lamar's paid now. He's got to be better. Just by default, he's got to have, on par with his MVP season, really. This defense has questions. But if they can control the ball and they can play from ahead, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Harbaugh's going to win you games by himself, damn near. So, yeah, I think this is an 11-win team. Had them originally at 10. There is a world where they're 13. I don't see it for them, but there is a world.
Okay. And going on to the next team, Timmy.
I think everybody can guess who it is. I have the Bengals at 2, and they're 12-5. I think they're right on the heels, fighting for that 1 seed. I think it probably will come down to where both teams are playing week 18, but I think the Ravens are a little bit better. So.
Okay. I've got the Bengals 14-3. I think if they're going to put it together, it's going to be this year. Since they've still got a decent-ish line. It's going to be middle of the pack. Obviously, you still got Higgins, you still got Chase, you've got Mixon, you've got the offense, you've got the continuity, you've got everything that you need to put it together. They've been to the big game. Obviously, they lost to the Chiefs last year. They're the only team that can stay in the playoffs because Tom's gone, that they've actually beat the Chiefs. So I think if they're going to put it together, this is the year. It's kind of like how the Bills were a couple years back. That was their year to do it, and then 13 seconds happened. I think this is going to be the iteration of this Bengals team. I think this is going to be the year for it.
Completely agree with what both of you said. I still have less wins than both of you. I have them as 11-6 as well. I believe they play the Ravens week 18, so that'll be the battle for the division, in essence. So, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think this is the year for them. They'll be a contender for years to come, but this team, what they have on offense, how loaded they are, this is the year for them. I do think, we've seen it. Burrow didn't even play in the preseason. They started slow last year. I think that'll be the case this year. You add that with how tough their division is. Steelers have a legitimate case for the playoffs. People have Browns as a contender. So, when you're 4 deep, people got to win, people got to lose. I think they'll cough up a few. So I think, like the Ravens, they're 11-6. But, yeah, all the talent in the world. But this division will hold them back from the upper echelon of the 12, 13, 14 win type of teams. Otherwise, no, they have all the talent in the world to be that. But this division, much like I have the AFC East, they're just going to beat up on each other. And really, I have the AFC West like that too. But, yeah, I don't see much separation. And by the way, that being said, I have them at the same record. I still think they're a tier above the Ravens. But I do think things are going to work out in the Ravens' favor. Just that energy of having Lamar back. I could see them having a hot start and then tapering off. Really having the reverse regular season of Cincinnati, who I feel like will start slow and then pick it up much like last year.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. It's nothing crazy at all. Not that they're that at all, but Cincy has kind of gotten into this thing where, like, the Chiefs, they've always started off like super hot. Like Mahomes in September and October is like stupid good. But when the Cincinnati these last couple years has seemed to almost feel like they're taking a Patriots mold and trying to, like, okay, let's figure this out here, figure this out here, figure this out here, and then midway through the season, that's where they start to go. Not that they are New England, but like they kind of taken that mold of, okay, let's figure what we need to out because we got Joe Burrow. We're confident we can go get wins later in the season. But Timmy, you're next. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the Chiefs just run, but they just keep running. They just don't run out of stamina. They just keep going.
My next team, third place, Cleveland Browns. I think they do have a little bit of a bounce back season, even though last year over half the season was not Deshaun playing. It was, Jacoby, and he actually played really well, I think.
For what you expect out of him, yeah.
Exactly. So I got them at 8-9. They're a very interesting team. They've got a lot of stars. Nick Chubb is great. Deshaun could be great. Mari Cooper's still very good. And then defensively, they could literally have a defensive player of the year this year if Garrett just doesn't get in a car accident halfway through the season.
Or throw a helmet, as someone said.
So, exactly.
Darius Smith as well, great on the other side too. He could have a big year with Myles Garrett being there.
Yeah, and I actually like them not releasing, but contract ending on Kareem Hunt because now he doesn't kind of muddy that backfield. This is literally Nick Chubb's backfield. So I like the team. Do I think they can put it together enough to be a playoff team? I don't. I think a lot of people would say they even like the Steelers better than the Browns, but I don't really like either team. But I got them at 8-9.
I agree with the 8-9. I have them exactly at that. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think Deshaun has a bounce back year. I mean, before the allegations and everything happened, he was a top 4 quarterback. It was really no order, Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, him.
Mhm.
Like there's not really anyone else I could say because Breeze was starting to fall off. Obviously, Roethlisberger, same thing. So,
Lamar.
like, Deshaun has.
I said you could argue
what?
Lamar being up there at that time.
See, that was hard because Lamar's season came, I think, after.
Yeah, it was
I
year
could
2.
be wrong. If it was, I think if it was Lamar, then you could definitely argue Lamar too.
And Patrick.
Remembering it
Mahomes
differently.
would have been the one.
But
yeah.
anyways,
Exactly.
Deshaun.
Yeah.
100%. I said 100%. But Deshaun has special in him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if he still has that in him because he grew up having that special in him. Obviously, we saw it in college. We saw it early. He took that Texans team to a divisional round, which shouldn't really have been there at all. I do think he comes back to form mostly. They've got talent across the board, but they just don't have. When you look at the Ravens roster, you look at the Steelers roster, you even look at the Bengals roster, all 3 of them, they don't fully stack up, but they do play hard, and they're going to make it tough for people.
All right, so Browns. I have them just like both of y'all, 8 and 9.
Yep.
And really, my same theory with them is the same as the Broncos and the Pats. I got them at 8 and 9 because they're a proven team. Exactly what you guys said. If Deshaun can be 85%, which I'm less skeptical of Deshaun than I am of Russell Wilson. Deshaun missed 2 football seasons. Like Keenan said, though, those athletic traits, they really should not have gone anywhere. His anticipation and all that'll probably still be rusty, even the first however many weeks. I think that'll come together, though. At the end of the day, though, they are still the Browns. So, something could, in fact, go wrong, or they could very well end up first in the division and then just have a catastrophic loss in the playoffs. But I got them at 8 and 9. There's definitely potential for an 11, 12-win team there. I don't see it. If anything, I think the year would be next year for them with Deshaun because, it's just going to take a lot for it to bounce back. And that division, once again, is extremely competitive. So he might start clicking around week 8. It'll all kind of depend on what their record is at that time, but I expect him to be better. Like you guys said, that defense, it's got a lot of talent on the defense, a lot of talent on the offense too, really all around the roster, but it'll all hinge on Deshaun and Stefanski. We'll see how great of a head coach or good of a head coach he can be. But I got them sitting at 8 and 9 as of right now.
Okay. And so, Timmy, on to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This is the team that I think is the worst in this division. It's really tough because they seem to always get to right around 500 every single year. I don't think Tomlin has ever had a losing season.
Nope.
So
Never.
It's pretty bullish for me to say this, but I got him at 7 and 10, handing him his first losing season ever. I'm not a Kenny Pickett believer from what I saw last year.
Okay.
And I think there's just a few holes here, and I just don't really like it. I mean, I like TJ Watt. He's back, so maybe he does help them enough. But they're going to be right around a 500 team, 7 and 10, 10 and 7, however you want to go. That's the floor, and I think that's the ceiling right there. So,
okay. So I have around the same win total, but I disagree with kind of your thoughts. I have them 9 and 8. So you have them 7 and 10. So it's really only two wins different, but I do have him still above 500. I think Kenny Pickett, I think he does take a little bit of a step forward. He got kind of thrown in there last year, and with just getting thrown into a system like partially through the season, you don't get the full reps and don't get the full groove towards the end of the season. You could see him less turnover prone, more making better decisions. Over the offseason, you have a full offseason working with George Pickens, who I think could really have a big year this year. I think he could kind of go from that number 2 to that number 1 really because of the fact that he's so athletic. Deontay Johnson is still a number 1 to number 2 range. Najee should have his best year, I think, when you go yards per carry. Year 1, he was great because Ben threw him the ball all the time. Last year, he was a little like 3.7. I think he can get over 4. And then defensively, great defensive coach, TJ Watt. You've got pieces around Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr. is good. You've got Larry Ogunjobi. I always suck at pronouncing that. Still got Cameron Hayward. So they've got pieces everywhere. This is a team that could be 11 wins. They could be fighting with the Bengals and the Ravens. I think if they put it together well and Kenny Pickett does take that next step. But right now I got them at 9-8.
I have them at 9-8 as well. Tim, I was with you last year where I was kind of questioning Pickett. I didn't really know what they had. I'm going to take the same logic with the Steelers as I did with the Pats, though. You had the Pats at 5-12. I think if the Steelers were going to be a 7-win team and under 500, it was last year when they had Trubisky starting, making the switch to Pickett, and even still, Tomlin got them to 9-8.
Yep.
Much like the Lions, they ended strong last year. They ended 7-2. You can feel the vibes coming from Pittsburgh with, they expect playoffs this year. They have big expectations. And what kind of changed my tune on Pickett, I just saw this today. They named him the offensive captain, which is a big deal in year 2.
It is.
I guess they didn't name Big Ben a captain until, maybe 5 years into his career. So, that's saying something on the Tomlin side of things.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be one of my favorite teams to watch just because they're going to be that old school, rough and tough AFC North. The AFC North I grew up with, the Steelers I grew up with. They're going to make it very ugly for the Bengals, for the Ravens, and especially for the Browns. I think we're going to just get some ugly games from the AFC North, and I can't wait. It's going to be the AFC North I grew up with, aside from some of the finesse that the Ravens might bring in the Bengals. But I can't wait for this division. I have them at 9-8. I really can't see them going above that. I don't see them winning the division. I don't see any of that, but I definitely see them making life tough. And I see them coming out on top of the Browns. But hey, like we said, if the Browns can put it together, if Deshaun can put it together, they're the ones I see dropping, not the Ravens, not the Bengals. So they would have to go to at least 8-9 in that case, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, the vibes are too good. The end of the season too strong. Tomlin seems really excited about this team. They got pieces on offense. Mm-hmm. That defense can be hellacious. They're going to be healthy. I'm very intrigued. They're my most intriguing team in the entire AFC to me, honestly. Next would probably be the Broncos, but they're the most intriguing to me.
Yeah, I definitely can see them being very interesting, and they're going to be a tough out every single week. So, every team, it means every game Sunday, but they're going to be a tough out every single week.
They're going to be the team no team wants to play at all.
No. Even if they get to the playoffs, if they sneak in as a wild card, the 2 seed's going to look at them like, this team, really, these guys, there's some teams where you look at it, you're like, okay, we just have to score with them. This team's going to make it difficult. It's going to feel like a playoff game regardless. So, but we just went through probably 3 of the 4 hardest divisions now, or 3 in the AFC, or 3 of the 4 hardest divisions in the entire NFL. We probably should not breeze, but get through these ones much quicker. But AFC South, Timmy, it's you.
We're going to start right with Jacksonville. I think they're the best team.
Of course.
I got them at 11-6.
Yep.
This is a pretty weak division, so 11-6 wins it. That's just not a lot to say about them. I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's an MVP candidate, but other than that, that's where I go.
Doug Peterson's done wonders there. Obviously, they had I like to be Urban Myers. So I have them 12-5. I think they're in probably, if you take them out, they're probably the second worst division in football. So I think they're going to beat up, probably at least go 5-1. You might slip up to the Titans or a Texans team if they come in hungry. Mm-hmm. But I don't see this team not being very good. I think because of their divisions, they get a high amount of wins, 12-5. And in addition to Calvin Ridley as well, I think is going to be very, very big.
I've got the Jags winning the division. However, I have less wins than both of y'all. I have them at 10-7. They clearly have the most talent in the entire division. I will say, down the stretch of last year, part of the reason why they got into the playoffs, one was a fluky win versus Dallas, but they had a pretty cupcake schedule down the stretch. And the biggest thing with the Jags the entire season was they were either all the way hot or all the way cold. And I'm not sure how much that changes this year. I could see that down the line changing. This year, though, I do see some growing pains. I could still see them having trouble with the elites in the league. They'll obviously have a tougher schedule. So I'm tampering expectations a little bit. Everybody does seem to have them around 11-12, but I got them at 10 wins. I don't see it being all peaches and cream for them, but division winner
Okay.
nonetheless.
All right, Timmy, you're next.
Second team, they're always here. The Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're a tier below the playoffs. They're kind of centered around Derrick Henry here. I got them at 9-8. I like Vrabel. He's a good coach, good defensive mind too. So like they're similar to the Steelers where they're going to be in a lot of games just because of a well coached defense, and then obviously they can run the ball right down your throat. So I got them at 9-8, second in the division.
8-9, second in the division. Everything you just said. They're not great at quarterback. They did get D-Hop. Derrick Henry's still a monster, and until he goes down, I don't really care about the age. He's still a monster, and he's going to still be a monster. Defensively, they got last year, and especially in the secondary. We'll see what happens this year. Got decent players up front: Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry. 8-9. Vrabel makes them respectable.
I have the reverse of that, actually. I have them at 9-8. I think they will be gutting it out with Jacksonville for that division lead. The only question here really is quarterback. I like them at running back. Derrick Henry actually improved via yards per carry last year, so he's very much still a threat. No reason for him not to have an all-pro year this year. They also have that other back they drafted, so they're deep at running back. Line and quarterback will be questionable here and there, but Vrabel's going to have that defense playing. Like Tim said, very much like the Steelers, where they're just going to be in it every week, no matter what. I mean, we saw that last year when they had Malik Willis in, and he couldn't even really complete a pass, and they were still going toe to toe with the Chiefs, I believe.
Yep,
they're just going to be in it, and I don't think they're going to go down easy. They're not going to roll over to the Jags and just concede this division. So I think they're going to make life tough on everybody. Clearly a talent disparity, but I got them at 9-8.
Yep.
Would not be surprised to see them steal the division, though. I will say that.
I would be surprised. That would shock me personally.
It would surprise me, but I can totally see it in the range of outcomes. I just like the Jags. I think they're a solid team.
For sure.
Moving on to my third team. This is where it really starts to take a turn. I got the Colts way down at 3-14. I do not like this team. I think Jonathan Taylor has a realistic chance of playing 0 games for this team. There's some loophole in the contract. I was listening to a podcast about this. He's on the PUP right now, so he's got to miss 4 games no matter what.
Yep.
If he doesn't come off the PUP week 5 and he sits out till week 6, he can sit there for the whole year and they have to pay him. There's nothing they can do about it. So it was a bonehead decision for them to put him on the PUP if they thought he was ever going to play for them, and they're not going to trade him. So I think without him, Anthony Richardson's going to have a hard time. I mean, their offensive line was good a couple years ago. Didn't look too hot last year. The defense lost some pieces. Stephon Gilmore's out. Their linebacker, Bobby Orique, whatever, went to the Giants this year. So I think they're pretty bad, 3-14.
So I had them at 6-11 prior to the Jonathan Taylor saga. They are now 4-12 after the 4-13 rather. After the Jonathan Taylor saga. I think that they're not great. They're trying to be Philly. So they got hold on just a second. Sean Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter, both from the Eagles, so they're trying to Jim Bob Cooter. Jimmy Bob. That boy Jim Bob, get him my OC. But so they're kind of trying to turn Anthony Richardson into a Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts style prototype, that big athletic guy who we can kind of make into an arm. We'll see how it works. Obviously, they do got a pretty good offensive line, of course, with probably the best guard in the league, Quentin Nelson. So we'll see how it works. They don't have much talent. 4-12. Or 4-13. I keep saying 12 like it's 16-game season.
I got him at 5-12. Anthony Richardson's going to have his growing pains. I do like the head coach. Like Keenan said, they're going to try to very much be Philly, try to make him Hurts-like. There's going to be growing pains. I don't like the organization as a whole, given how last year went, firing Frank Reich, hiring Jeff Saturday. We can't overlook that. The division is poor enough, and they got 2 games against the Texans. Whether they split them, whatever, I could see them getting to 5. I think they go above 3, but it would be tough for them to get to 6, So I got them sitting at 5, and that's really their ceiling for me. So would not 4 or 5 is my final for them, but I'm gonna stick with 5.
Alrighty. And next.
Finally, I got the Texans in last place. I got them even worse. I got them at 2-15. I was talking to Keenan before this. I actually had them at 1-16, and then I was like, "There's no way they're worse than the Cardinals," and I had to go back and tweak it a little bit. But nothing stands out to me. I like Dameon Pierce, but they're not going to have an offensive line. And then now Devin Singletary's there to muddy the water. They have Dalton Schultz. That's really their only wide receiver. I don't know if any of the wide receivers even need to be named here. And then the defense has like a couple pieces that might keep them into some games, but I don't think their offense can really do anything. So I got them at 2-15.
So I kind of like the Texans this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew you liked them. I know you like their defense.
I kind of like them. So they had like points per game. I think a top like 12 to 13 defense, and they were like 1 point from being a top 8 defense last year. They got Will Anderson, who was the best defender in the draft. I have them at 6-11. Not that they're making me playoffs or anything. They're not gonna compete. Like, but the AFC is just too good. I think they're going to be interesting. You got D'Amico Ryans and you got their offensive coordinators, Bobby Slowick. So basically, they took the 49ers and they were like, "Hey, come over here." So I think that you're going to get a well-coached defense. So they're going to stay in games. I do like C.J. Stroud. We'll see how he progresses. Obviously, you got Nico Collins, Robert Williams, John Mechie. So like your wide receiving core is not great. John Mechie, yeah, He was a rookie last year. He really didn't play all that much.
He had a heart condition. Yeah, he had a heart that. Yeah, so he missed a whole year.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's very talented from Bama. So we'll see if he actually can put that talent out there. But regardless, anyways, they're gonna be bottom. But I got them 6-11. I do like their defense. I think they're gonna be interesting. The defense, that is.
I actually had said John Amici, which is a random ass NBA name drop.
I was gonna say you definitely didn't say Mechie.
No. He's a 2000s NBA player, and I think he's like the first like openly gay NBA player, or he might have came out after his retirement, but his name was very close to yours or the one you mentioned.
That is random.
Right in lockstep with Keenan, I have them at 6-11 as well. They were clearly a bottom 2 team last year. And they were very much in a lot of games. And they improved at quarterback. Yep. They improved the coaching staff all around. I think they're better than the Colts. So I just have them sitting at 6 wins. So I think they'll be competitive. Not great. It'll be a step in the right direction for them. So 6-11. Colts, the bottom tier of this division. And then with y'all, the Jags winning this division. Let's move on to the NFC.
NFC, let's go. All right, NFC East. We'll stay in like the East, West, North, South like we did for the AFC. So NFC East, probably the most interesting division.
I think I'm going to shock you guys here, but I am a little biased, so it obviously should kind of play into my rankings here. But I still do have the Eagles at 1, so I'm going to tell you that I got them there.
All right. Thought we were going in a different direction. Thought we were going.
I did too. I was going to say.
Well, maybe in a couple minutes here, but
we're going a little.
I got the Eagles at 1. I think they're going to have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, a little bit of a regression. I think they were a 13-win team last year. Were they 13 or 14? They were right around there.
14-3, I believe.
14-3. Okay, so I'm dialing them all the way back down to 11-6. I think this division is competitive in the division, and I think we're going to see a lot of splits, like 3-3. All the teams are close to that in their division. So I got them at 11-6. I still think they're the best team in the East, though.
I agree. I think they're the best team in the East. I think Dallas could give them a run for their money. I got them 12-5. A little step back. I could see them going 11-6, maybe even 10-7, depending. I think it's underrated when you lose coordinators. So I think the loss of, as I say, Brian Johnson, he was with the Eagles for 3 years, so you got a new OC coming in. I mean, Jalen Hurts has established himself as a top 5 quarterback, but we'll see if he can take that year of beauty. Obviously, Kyle had him really high last year because they had a pretty cupcake schedule comparatively, and now they got the cream of the crop. Plus, they've got a target on their head being the best team in the NFC last year. So we'll see how they do. I think they'll be a little worse, but they've got too much talent there to really fall off.
I think this is the most I've ever agreed with Keenan on a preview show. I have the Eagles as well at 12-5.
I think this is we normally we'll agree on certain things, but then
we usually have one big disagreement somewhere. But now we're in lockstep. I think they're 12-5. I think they're the most talented team, not only in the NFC East but the entire league. Slight step back from their 14 wins last year, but this team very much reminds me of the Seahawks of the early 2010s. I think they're just incredibly loaded on both sides of the ball, but incredibly well coached. Their game management is up there with, honestly, peak Belichick and Brady to me. That's what they remind me of when they're playing from ahead. If they're up 10 on you, you almost cannot get back into the game with them, which is a rare feat. So between their run game, between the progression we've seen Hurts from the first 3 years, he's only going to progress again with all the weapons they have. That allows the defense to play aggressive. So I think it's going to be more of the same of last year, except the schedule's a little tougher, so they'll lose a little bit more. But I see more of the same as last year. Eagles at 12-5.
Yep. All right, next, Timmy.
This is where I'm going to start to lose you guys, and this is where my bias is going to take over. So
I can't wait.
I got the Giants second. To me, they're second or third. They're not Washington. So they're not fourth, but it's hard, and I think they're pretty close to the Cowboys. I really do. My argument is more on the Cowboys side than it is on the Giants being good. I like the addition of Darren Waller. I think he could literally be the tight end 2 this year in fantasy football. And if he is established as a true 1 and true GOAT there, good talent, their offense could be the Chiefs from, I did say GOAT, didn't mean to, but you know what I mean. Just good talent, whatever. So I got them at 10-7. Right here at the second. Oh. Keenan, do you like this? Do you not like this? I don't get it.
So here's the thing. I'm not even far off. I have them at 8 and 9. I don't even think you're really far off on it. I think Dayball's a very good coach. That face was I have zero thoughts that Darren Waller could be the second because I have zero thoughts that Daniel Jones can throw a lot. What Dayball did last year was basically say, hey, Daniel Jones, don't make mistakes. We're going to do simple things. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing. Hey, we've got what we consider in our camp the most talented and best running back in the league. Argument to be had there. Honestly, probably Christian McCaffrey. But Saquon's super talented. Mm-hmm. They've definitely got something at receiver, I guess. I mean, Darren Waller is definitely a good pickup. I think that him being T2 is not that. That's me personally. That I have him as 6 or 7. But that's the only reason why I made that face. I do think the Giants are going to be interesting. They're well coached. We'll see how they play. Obviously, they started off hot last year, winning a lot of their games really close. We'll see if those close games still come around or if they don't. So 8 and 9, definitely competing.
I'm close to where Keenan was. I originally had them at 8 and 9. Actually bumped them down to 7 and 10. I do agree with Tim though. I do think we'll see a lot of Waller this year. I think if Daniel Jones is going to be, I think if Daniel Jones is going to be throwing the ball, it's going to be him as the number 1 target. So I could see them almost force feeding him the ball inside the numbers rather than trying to get the ball outside. You would hope to see Daniel Jones progress given the contract that they gave him, given that they had a lack of talent last year. And he was still able to, like you said, run the ball a lot, but manage the game here and there. But you'd like to see him improve as an all-around thrower of the football. That remains to be seen. That being said, they won a lot of one-score games last year. Mm-hmm. They had a forgiving schedule last year. It'll be tougher this year. They're still very limited talent-wise, which is where I dock them. I do think they're one of the more well-coached teams in the entire league. And I actually kind of like them for that reason. It's hard for me to say that as a Pats fan, but, post Eli, post Coughlin, post anybody having to do with those teams, this team grew a little fondness on me last year. They looked a little Patriots-y last year with just how well coached they were. That being said, just the talent deficiency, I think they'll take a slight step back. Same level of team, so I have them at 7 and 10. Ceiling being a 10-win team, that would be extremely hard. Really, their ceiling would be 9 wins, honestly, for me. I'm interested, Tim, to hear what your reasoning for having Dallas third. I do love when Dallas loses, not because I hate the Cowboys, but just because their fan base is incredibly delusional. But I'll let you take it away from there. We can talk Cowboys because I'm assuming you have them third, not fourth. So,
Yeah.
Yep. I can jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So the Cowboys, I don't know how many years it is, right? They'll have a couple good seasons where they're a playoff team and they might even be close to making it to that divisional game, but they never do. And then they have a terrible season, like right around either 5 wins or like right around 500, and they're just bad. That could be them this year. They probably are a better team talent-wise than last year, but I could totally see it just crashing and burning for some reason. They also do have a tough schedule. The Giants, I think, technically have a tougher schedule, like percentage-wise or whatever, but I think this is the year that the Cowboys just crash and burn. And like you said, Cowboys fan base, completely delusional. We dem boys, this is our year, circle going around.
Every year's their year, right?
Yep, exactly.
Here's
in reality, it's none of their years, so it's not going to be this year.
So here's the thing. Speaking of, I got them 10-7. I got them second in the division. So
we're not far off. 9-8, 10-7.
We're not really that far off. Every year is their year because what happens is they go into the preseason. They're hyped up as like a top 8 team. People are pumped. They get a stretch of games where they're like 5 in a row or whatever. People are lit. Dallas for the Super Bowl, and then every year in January or late December, they fall off, and then by February 20th, they're back for next year. That's what happens every single year, and I don't know. I will see where they are in the playoffs for me. Cool, but they've definitely got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see how their offense runs. There's no Kellen Moore. They have Brian Schottenheimer now. Where was he in 2022? If someone can tell me, I don't know if he was. I didn't see him at the high school level, college level, or pros when I was looking because I went through every OC. So I don't know where he was coaching.
He's been in the league in the past, though.
Oh, he was in the league in the past.
Real
yes.
pedigree too.
It was. I was gonna say, yeah, he does. I was gonna say, Jags, Seahawks. He was in the league in the past. So for sure, it's not like it's a bad thing. Yeah. So we will see. We will see, obviously, where they go. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Mike McCarthy. This defense could be live, very live this year. Obviously, Micah Parsons always in line to be Defensive Player of the Year now with his talent. Now they got Stephon Gilmore to go along with Trevon Diggs. So their defense could be electric. It's just, how is their offense going to be like? They have the talent every year. They're like kind of the Chargers in just in a different way, like where they have the talent every single year to be like, they could make the Super Bowl. And it's not stupid to think if they put it together, that's a Super Bowl roster. It's Dallas. Will they put it together? Like Kyle has said with the Broncos and the Patriots and the Browns, remains to be seen. When it happens, I'll believe it.
You know, the Chargers and Cowboys comparison is really good, except the Cowboys always just end way more dramatically every single time, time, which I love. Which I love.
And to be honest with you, the Chargers kind of end just as dramatic. They just don't get talked about like it.
I mean, they don't end with Zeke Elliott getting train wrecked on like a weird ass play. They don't end with just running the timeout at the line in good field position.
That's what I'm like. It's not as comparable, but it's there. It's like the Chargers will do bad, and then they'll just run through. But because they did bad in the beginning, week 17 or week 18 now, they'll lose. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 picks in the first half, and they still managed to lose the game. The year they was like, oh man, they're going to be great. The Patriots came through, mopped the floor with them. Like the Chargers seem to just be the Cowboys. They just don't have the publicity. And you're right. There's little things about the Cowboys where they just can't.
I think the Chargers are more snake bitten. The Cowboys seem to be like. I was thinking about the Cowboys. You can legitimately make the case. Not that I was a young kid when they went on their run, but. I mean, look, Jerry is an incredible businessman, clearly. Like, they're the number one brand across all of sports, maybe even across all of America. Like, that's how much how much the Cowboys are worth. And still, we can sit here and say the reason why they won in the 90s. In the fucking 90s, let me repeat that, the 90s, and we still talk about them like they won last year.
Early
90s, early
not
and
late.
mid-90s.
I think 95 was the last year. Possibly,
Yep.
I could be wrong by that.
The reason why they got those, you could strongly say, is because of Jimmy Johnson. He was really the architect of those teams. Jerry hasn't done much of anything. I'm going to tie this all together because I'll get to what I think of this actual team and the record and all that. But while we're on the topic, I just can't tell you, from the Romo era into the Dak era, this team has just so many comparisons. Like, even in the Romo era, did they have tons of talent on both ends of the ball? They were exciting to watch. I actually used to low key root for the Cowboys. Like, Romo used to be one of my favorite quarterbacks. Like, I always used to hate when people would call him overrated because it's like he can't even be rated because everyone hates on him so much. But he would do Brett Favre shit on the field, like real shit.
I do agree with that.
He would do Brett Favre shit. It's funny to me though because I've noticed it more this year than any year in the past. Dak is right in that zone of where Tony Romo was in his prime, where everyone's like, "Fuck this guy." And part of it's deserved, part of it is not. I think the Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins thing, I think that's real. I don't think there's much difference between them. I think Dak's got a little bit more ability. But, I feel like people are unfair to him. But it's just funny to see him get to that point now across every fan base being like, no, this guy's like the most overrated quarterback in the league. Which, that's debatable. That to say that I just see the parallels. They are the exact same as they were 15 years ago, as they were 10 years ago, as they were 8 years ago, just talented and just can't put it together. That being said, I love this roster. I love the addition of Stephon Gilmore. I love the addition of Brandon Cooks.
Love the roster?
I love everything about it. The question mark for me, like Keenan said, would be Mike McCarthy. I have them actually at 11-6. I had them originally at 10-7. I would not be surprised to see them leapfrog the Eagles. I just wouldn't.
Wouldn't shock me either.
Push came to shove, I would take the Eagles in a postseason game over the Cowboys all day. But they have the talent to where they could leapfrog. But I got them second.
Yep.
I got them in the playoffs. But, Tim, the more you said it, it's absolutely set up for them to crash and burn. Like, I'd never even thought of it, but it really is because it's almost a make or break year for Dak. I can't imagine if, let's say they went 9-8 and missed the playoffs. I can't imagine Dak would be back. He would almost be in that zone where you be damned if you do, damned if you don't. But, man, there's a world, with all this talent that it just doesn't come together, and it's a 6-win team. I don't see that happening. But just because it's Dallas, and just because, like, if it's going to go bad, it's going to go fucking bad. Yeah, I could see it just for that reason. It would kind of be like the Lakers in basketball, When it's bad for them, the whole Westbrook thing, it went all the way bad, But when it's good, it's good. So that would be my comparison with them.
And that's the thing. With LA, obviously, storied franchise.
Talent's not a question. With them.
Or like when it was Kobe, Nash, and Howard, and they went 41-41. And it's like the people thought I even like because I was like when I first started to do predictions, I thought it was going to be Heat Lakers in the finals. I was hopeful, but anyways, when you're going like this team just has all of it. Like you go back to 2007, obviously the Patriots were the team that we talked about. They're 16-0. The Cowboys went 13-3 that year, got beat in the playoffs by the Giants. They had obviously the first year Zeke was there. They had another Romo year, 2015, when they had DeMarco Murray, like then Dez catch game. Like everything with this team is always like they're high and then they're low. The last 2 years they've been 12-5.
That being said, let me be fair to them. Let me be fair.
It's possible.
If I'm going to say they have the ability to crash and burn, they also have the ability and the talent to break through. Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning coach. It's not like he's a 0-win coach who's always got there and always lost. He's just as responsible for the big losses they've had as Aaron Rodgers is, I would say. But he has also won a Super Bowl. This team does have talent. So I do, not to pile on the hate, this team absolutely could break through and win. I just don't see it. I don't know if Dak's that guy. I really don't. He's perplexing to me. He really is. This is going to be a pass-heavy offense. They're going to be fun to watch if everything's clicking. But if this is anything less than a 10-win team, that's a disappointment. Yep. That's a heavy disappointment.
If you keep the coach too, if you change the name of the Dallas Cowboys to the Seattle Seahawks, I would think they could win the Super Bowl, and they might be like my favorite in the NFC. It literally just the name Dallas Cowboys. They find a way to screw it up. They do. But Timmy, you go on.
I just want to really quickly. I know we were kind of pushing for time here, but
no, you're fine. Keep going. We're chilling. I'm fine.
What Kyle was saying about kind of being a make or break season for Dak, it's really weird because he got that contract, right? So he's getting paid, and most of it's guaranteed. I think it's like pretty close to all being guaranteed.
Yep.
They added 2 years to his contract, 2 void years. I've never really heard of this. I've heard of it, but like I don't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what it meant was if they decide to move on from him, they're able to stretch the guaranteed money over those 2 void years, so it doesn't hurt them as much, which is weird.
That is weird.
Then they go and they trade for Trey Lance, giving up a 4th-round pick for someone that might not even deserve to be on a roster, and then they don't tell Dak that they're doing it. They didn't inform anybody that they were doing it. They just got him. And then Dak was like, oh, I just learned on Instagram that my new backup quarterback is, someone we had to trade for that was a former 3rd overall pick. That could create some controversy. I don't know. Maybe it gets in Dak's head. Maybe he just has a bad turnover season, and that's really what sinks them this year is he throws 20 picks this year, and that's really what does it. I could totally see it happening. They've been, like Keenan said, 12-5 the last 2 years. That's too many years. 3 in a row. Can't say that they could do that. So they're going down this year, putting them at 9-8. That's not even a bad year.
You're talking me into
they're going to miss the playoffs.
You're talking me into
See? It makes sense.
I mean, granted, I got him at 11, so it makes sense. I'd be the slight setback, but there's almost too much talent. But there's a world.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Dak was the interception leader last year, and he didn't play 5 games. So tell me it can't happen.
That being said, where it is a saving grace for them, if Dak does get injured or something, Cooper Rush is a valuable backup.
He is, which is weird that they trade for Trey Lance because Cooper Rush actually looked good when he had to play last year.
Maybe Lance will be something
I was confused.
Maybe Trey Lance will be something like a Taysom Hill for him. That's the only thing I could really imagine. Or maybe the future backup in case they move on to Dak, but I don't know.
Jerry Jones had this weird quote about Trey Lance. He said something that was along the lines of, we hope he doesn't have to play for us in the next couple of years. Something like that. Like, we traded for him, but I hope he's not playing for us. Which is a really weird quote to say about a guy you just spent a 4th-round pick on.
Yeah, if I got it, he has to work on his PR because that exactly what I would say is
because he found Dak is our number.
Dak is our guy. Dak is our guy 100%. But we always love this. As an NFL is a very dangerous game. We just want to make sure we have the best. We're in the best position to win. But Dak is 100% our quarterback. Pretty simple, real easy answer. Explain why you got him. But Timmy, you move on to what you think the Commanders are going to do this year. They're going to command nothing.
Yeah, I think they're the worst team in the division. Clearly, I actually am intrigued on Sam Howell. I don't think he's going to be that bad. Maybe a streaming candidate for fantasy, but definitely, I think bold prediction. I told Cam just a couple days ago that he would be an every week guy because he actually rushes the ball pretty often, and that's a pretty big deal when it comes to fantasy. So he might have that floor of 5 or 6 points just from rushing, and then he's going to get you another 10, 11. So he might be there, but he's got a lot of skill positions here that I like too. I like Jahan Dotson. The offense looks good, and the defense is always well coached. But that being said, I still got them at 6-11. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're going to blow the doors off anybody, and it's an interesting team, but I don't think they're winning a lot.
They have an above average. They have an above 500 defense and a below 500 offense. I put them at 5-12 for me. They could get to 8-9, and I wouldn't be too shocked. That just means that their defense finally clicked. They didn't decide to pick up Chase Young's 5th-year option, which I thought was bizarre. Like, why not just pick it up?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might be either they have a contract that they're ready for with him, or this is like his last year here. So he might be a man possessed trying to get that money. But yeah, no, I think this team has a 8 or 9 at the max, with pretty much an 8-win ceiling. 4 floor. I got them at 5-12.
This team very much is like the Giants for me, as far as like they've got the pieces. Like I think we all like the defense here. The question would be Sam Howell. They're not as well coached as the Giants. That being said, Rivera, to make an NBA comparison, Keenan Rivera to me is like Dwayne Casey. Like he's good, and I would say in NBA terms, Dwayne Casey's still better, but like veteran coach, he's not necessarily going to hurt you, but not necessarily going to make you a lot better. Again, I think Dwayne Casey's still better than Ron Rivera, but yeah, I see them as a 7-win team. I think they'll make much like the Giants. I think they're just going to play people tough. They're going to be physical. They'll have the ability to run the ball. Howell's going to give them a different dimension. They got receivers. That's the weird thing. Like they got a real talented group of receivers. And just, like we said about the Cowboys. Cowboys are bound to cough one up here or there. Why not to the Skins Commanders football team? Why not, the Giants and them might split. You know what I mean? They'll make they took one from the Eagles last year, correct?
And the Cowboys.
So
yes.
And they really seem to like Howell. So yeah, I could see a world of 7-10, at the most 9-8. It'll be them and the Giants battling it out, and I have more confidence in the Giants. But going into Week 12 last year, I believe it was, the Giants and almost call them the Redskins. The Giants and the Commanders had the same exact record with 2 games to play against each other, and we saw what the Giants did. So there's real pedigree on this team. The coaching's okay enough. The roster's definitely good enough. It's just whether or not Howell can protect the ball and such and so forth. But I think this will be another tough NFC East year, all of them scrapping it out, and the bottom team being 7 wins.
Yep. All right, on
NFC
to
West
the NFC West. Yes, Timmy, let's go. What do you got?
So this is actually one that kind of shocked me, but I actually really like. We're going to start out with the Seahawks. I actually really liked them this year. They shocked the hell out of me last year. I think I had them as like a 3 or 4 win team. They made it all the way up to like 11 or something. So they got better on offense. They drafted 2 offensive players in the first 2 rounds, along with a defensive player, which is crazy. They got a lot of talent in this draft. So I think they got better. And I actually think they are the best team in this division, which is tough. It's just with the 49ers, they lose their defensive coordinator. They've kind of had a revolving door at defensive coordinator for these last couple of years.
And quarterback.
True. The quarterback is always a confusion. I would take Geno over Brock Purdy. And with the additions of Jackson, I don't know. It's close to say that I like Seattle's group better than I like San Francisco's group of wide receivers. I also like their running backs too. So and their O-line is solid. So I like this team. I actually got them winning the division. I think they're a 12-win team, 12-5.
I think 12 is a touch high, but I got them competing for the division lead. I got them 10-7. I think this is definitely a playoff team. It's good when you have an off season of continuity. I think that's great, where you don't really have major switches on the coordinating, major switches on the offense. You bring in a few things. They got Bobby Wagner back, which maybe it's kind of like how Jamie Collins was, where you have like whatever you are here, he comes back home and he just kind of livens up just because he's so used to that setting. I do think this team is very interesting. They will definitely be competing for the division. And 2 things I wanted to quickly say. The Seahawks are like the reverse of the Cowboys, where in the sense where the Cowboys are like what can go wrong will, and like the Seahawks managed to just pull things right. Like there were multiple years he was Russell Wilson. I was like, that's like a 6-win team. They'd managed to hit 10 wins again in the playoffs. And they're like, okay. So like Pete Carroll's just going to always have them respectable, 1, and 2, every single minute that Russell Wilson trade looks better and better. Because if Geno goes out and plays better than Russ again, they just got all of that compensation to get a better quarterback, which is crazy to think like that is the case. So I definitely they're competing for the division. I have them as a playoff team, 10-7.
Right there with Keenan again, 10-7. I'll say this: all summer I was prepared to come in here and pick them as my division winner. All summer. So props to you, Tim, because I was ready. I love everything about this team. My only real questions are about the defense. I think Geno's going to be better. I think that offense is going to be better. They got another running back. The backfield's deep. Geno is one of my favorite players in the league. His bounce back story. He can truly throw with touch. He's great to watch. Low key,
he's got poise late in games too, which has been surprising. Like when they were over at the Bucks overseas, made some plays there. Like he's made plays down the stretch, and it kind of shocks you, especially for someone who hadn't been really put in that spotlight in like almost half a decade.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything about this team. And I really wanted to pick them on virtue of like it's kind of at some point got to go not bad, but just a little bit south for the Niners. Like they've gotten away with a lot with this quarterback carousel and everything, and just everything that's happened there, whether it's injuries, and they still find a way to be on top. But all the talent there, I'll leak it here. Yeah, the Niners are going to be my division winner, but
It's
Seahawks,
not really a leak.
Seahawks right? Yeah. Well,
If you don't have the Seahawks, it's not a leak.
Yeah, I should probably be off the show if I was going to pick the Rams or the Cards, but. Yeah, spoiler alert, it's the Niners. But literally up until the last 5 days, my division winner was going to be the Seahawks. Weirdly have an affinity for this team. Have loved them ever since.
You always have, too, which weirdly enough.
Yeah, like I used to hate.
You've always been a Seahawks guy.
I used to hate them back in the day because they had ugly-ass uniforms. Then they made the switch to the uniforms they got now, and I'm like, oh, I like this team. And the crowd is crazy lit. Like their crowd always brings it no matter what team they have, so. And I like Pete Carroll as a coach. He's a player's coach. He's 75 going on like 25. So I'm a Pete Carroll guy. So yeah, I got
always chewing gum.
Always chewing gum.
He's got that Ray Allen aspect to him.
Yeah. So,
Ray Allen had the same piece of gum probably for like a 300, like every season. Just like one piece of gum for the same season.
And I think you want to talk about predictions. I think the year they won it, I think they went 14-2. And I think I picked them before the year to win it. And I think I either picked them to go 13-3 or 14-2. So ever since then, I'm like, oh, I'm riding with this team. I can trust them. So,
yep.
Yeah. But yeah, 10-7.
All right.
Second in the division to the Niners, which I'm sure that's the next team we'll be in. So
I was gonna say with Timmy, what do you have the Niners record?
I have the identical record, 12-5. I think it just comes down to head-to-head in division record, and then the Seahawks just edge them out. They're very, very similar teams. I think the Niners' defense is better. But I'm starting to like the Seahawks offense more, mainly because of the QB. At least they don't have like a question mark there where we don't know. Most likely Geno's playing 17 games this year, barring injury, whereas I could see Brock Purdy benched week 5 if it's bad. So, but I got them 12-5. I think they're still a perennial playoff team, potentially Super Bowl team. They got the defense for it.
Yep. All right, so obviously right now I've got the 49ers. I have them winning the division at 11-6. They're competing with the Seahawks will be competing with them all year long. Nick Bosa's probably out week 1, but I don't think his injury is going to be long-term, which is good. So you've still got one of the best edge rushers in the game. Fred Warner got the best middle linebacker in the game. That defense is going to be stout. It's going to be interesting to see with the moving pieces defensively, how that defense works. Obviously, they don't have D'Amico Ryans any longer. Offensively, I'm not really concerned, regardless of who their QB is. They seem to make it work enough. Kyle Shanahan's just such a great offensive mind. He makes it work. The thing with the 49ers is they haven't gotten the quarterback position like right yet. Like Jimmy G, especially in that playoff run, was not good. Like they're the one they went to the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, but they still got to the Super Bowl. They got to the NFC Championship game, I believe, twice. Like they've just been a team where if you had even Dak Prescott, I feel like you could argue they have like 2 Super Bowls right now. Like they have been just such a great team. Take out QB, probably the best roster in the league over the last 5 years cumulatively for sure. But I think they're just too good not to be competing for the division. I got them there. If they were 2 to the Seahawks, wouldn't shock me. 11-6.
Before I get into this, I just want to real quick talk about Jimmy G. I'm not a Jimmy G guy, but I am a Jimmy G defender. And I will say, if you look at those 2 playoff runs where they went deep in the playoffs with them, whether it was the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game, the stats aren't that terrible, especially when you compare them to the opposing quarterbacks. They're not that far off. Aside from that Packers game where he literally did nothing and, the defense and the special teams took over, it's not terrible numbers. That would be my pushback. That being said, Keenan, I'm right with you. He didn't do
anything on that playoff run. You know what?
I would disagree. You got to make throws here and there. It wasn't Trent Dilfer in 2000. I would say that. Did a bit
it was that playoff run was damn close.
I'm pretty sure they rushed for 400.
That playoff run,
for sure.
I can tell you exactly what it was.
Packers game excluding, but I mean, go to the opposing quarterback stats. It's not like he was getting like completely outdueled here. That's my point.
Fair. They did have a stud defense that year as well.
Absolutely,
which is tough.
Absolutely,
he's been serviceable.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the definition of a game manager, but I don't think he's Trent Dilfer here. I think he's got a little more ability than that. That's all I'm saying.
He's got more ability than Trent Dilfer, but on that first playoff run where the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, he was Trent Dilfer. He threw 58 passes in 3 games. He threw 58 passes. No, he didn't have to.
But I'm also saying, compared to the opposing quarterbacks, it's not like they were outgunning him here. You know what I mean? Were they hiding him?
No, I mean, Mahomes did. Mahomes did. Rodgers didn't, because that game was a rout, and I can't even remember their first game, honestly, that playoff.
See, how you feel about Jimmy G, though? That's how I feel about Tua. Like, I feel like they simplify it for him. He can just throw it deep. That's really the only difference, and he's a little more mobile than Jimmy, obviously. That's really the only difference.
I've never been a Jimmy guy. Not even when he was a Patriot.
Totally agree.
Hey, he helped.
Even on the
Patriots, he helped us win a ring on the Pats. Going what, 2-1?
Hey,
And Jacoby came in. Jacoby came in and ran a military offense. We still won the game.
Jimmy played 6 great quarters. He had the game against Arizona, I want to say either Sunday or Monday night, where he threw like 2 touchdowns to no picks. He played really well. Then threw 4 touchdowns against the Dolphins in the first half, and then got injured. Jacoby went 1-1. We lost 16-0 to the Buffalo Bills, and then Tom went 28-2. So Tom was focused. Right. That year is the year I remember the most out of every single Patriot year for some reason, but.
Don't get me whimsical about the glory days.
Tom was nasty that year. But go on with the 49ers.
Yes,
went on a Jimmy G tangent.
Because we're going to breeze through the fucking Cardinals
these last
and
2.
the Rams, obviously. But
yeah.
Niners have it 11-6. Too much talent. Speaking of Jimmy G, the thing with Purdy, I think he can tone it down. The difference between him and Jimmy G is that he can push the ball down the field. So I do think they have the explosive aspect. But if Shanahan wants him to tone it down, I think he'll be able to. You know, I don't think he's just like one of these mistake-prone quarterbacks or someone who's going to force the issue. That being said, sophomore slump, I could see a little bit of regression, just a little bit of mistakes here and there. I do see that. Sure. I don't see a world where Darnold replaces him unless it is injury. That's the only way. Weirdly, there is buzz from a variety of people who think Darnold could take over and fit this offense. That would be fucking bizarre to me, to say the least. My favorite story, I don't know if we talked about it here, but my favorite story I've heard all offseason was that had they won that game against the Eagles, that they were going to call Phillip Rivers to be the quarterback of the Super Bowl. That would have been absolutely insane. That's the kind of chaos I root for on every aspect of sports, my life, anything. I love that kind of chaos. I would have loved that. That being said, though, yeah, I got the Niners winning the division. We'll go forward about the prospects of their postseason.
It's like when the Lions
that'd have been a Disney movie if Rivers came back.
I think the Lions, like a while back, Joe Kitna was teaching. Like, he was literally a teacher, and then they brought him out with like, "Hey, can you go play in this game for us?"
If Phillip Rivers would have won that game, if they would have made it to the Super Bowl and they won, Disney would have been lined up so quick, especially with his like Catholic or Christian background. They would have had that scene.
Heck yeah!
They would have.
You guys cannot touch me.
They would have had that scene.
I am better.
They would have had a scene at the end of the movie, like him on the podium with like all 7 or 8 of his kids, like kissing him.
It would.
I think it's like 10 now.
It probably is. Yeah,
Mahomes, you are beneath me. You are not as good as me, Mahomes.
Or they botch it completely and just have him like actually like cussing.
Yeah, no, this is crazy. That would be hilarious. But all right, so I'm guessing you have the Rams next. What do you have the record? We don't need to talk about these teams. These next.
We're just gonna.
I got them 5-12. I think the only worry here is Cooper Kupp might have a hamstring injury still, which is kind of worrying. So if that lingers, that might suck. But I got them. They're about 5-win team. They're not atrocious, but they're pretty bad. Yeah.
Got him at a 7-win team. Sean McVay is a good coach. Aaron Donald's on the defense. Cooper Kupp, if he's healthy, and Matt Stafford on the offense, good enough to get you a few wins.
I see them being a 7-win team only if Stafford and Kupp stay healthy. And Kupp, it's already looking questionable. I'm really just going to take this time to, boost what I said last time of not taking Cooper Kupp because I think he is going to miss like at least 6 games to start. Don't think they do anything of relevance on the offensive end. Got them at 5-12. Defense is completely shoddy outside of Aaron Donald. This is a bad team. And I think once it starts going south, Stafford's going to get a fake injury, maybe even trade him, but they're going to tank once it goes bad. And
he'll retire.
And their schedule is unbelievably tough. There's a world where they're 0-9 even trying to win. So, yeah, I just have no faith in this team whatsoever.
Honestly, if they suck early, they might tank for Caleb Williams, to be honest with you. And good thing they won the Super Bowl, because if they didn't and they went all of that way to not get anything, it would be atrocious for them.
I was going to say, do they even have a first-round pick this year?
I want to say they finally have a pick. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. But
I don't think they have their second this year, but they might have their first.
I think they have their first. I could be wrong.
Let me just go through their schedule real quick, just the beginning part. Seahawks, Niners, Bengals, Colts. Colts is like their only winnable game. Eagles after that.
1-3,
then they got Cardinals.
1-4,
then they got the Steelers, Cowboys,
2-4,
Packers,
2-5,
Rams.
2-6,
There's not a lot of
2-7, 2-7 to start.
Not a lot of wins there.
I think you're preaching my point. I got them at 5 wins. I think 7 is kind of reaching here. They don't have a lot of talent other than 3 players.
I agree.
So.
I got them at 5-12
Cooper,
strictly because of the next team we're going to talk about. I think they're going to be worse. Go ahead and finish your points, and then we're just going to go on to the cards.
No, I was just going to say I think Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, I thought could get you maybe 7 at max. I was trying to give them respect.
In Madden.
If they're 5 or 4 wins, fine. But we can talk about this atrocity of a team we call the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to try to lose.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Kyler plays this year.
Yeah, I don't think Kyler plays.
I don't think there's a reason for them to even put him in. They're obviously shipping off every player they got for 7th-round picks, so they don't really care. And they're giving away 4th-round picks to get fucking Josh Dobbs at quarterback. So I got them 2-15. I think they're the bottom tier. They're the number 1 pick this year, which is sad because they'll have 2 quarterbacks that could be starting somewhere next year. So.
Likewise, 2-15. Caleb Williams sweepstake. They'll probably get him. So then this is going to be – they're going to be interesting to talk about in the offseason. Kind of like when they got Rosen and then they got the number 1 pick in Kyler Murray. And then, so they're going to be interesting in the offseason because what do you do with Kyler Murray now? Do you keep him? Do you trade the number 1 pick away? Why would you trade Caleb Williams? Whatever. So they'll be interesting then. They're not interesting now. 2-15. If they went 0-17, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't be that shocked.
I could see it 100%.
I got them a little better than both of y'all. I got them at 3-14.
Jeez,
unlike
moving
you guys,
the needle.
Unlike you guys, though, I don't think there's any question. I think if they get Caleb Williams, I think Kyler's looking for a new team next year. So I don't think there's much intrigue there. I think Kyler has played his last down in Arizona, and I agree with Tim. He's not playing at all this year. They're gonna tank all the way. Next division.
Fair enough. The NFC North, I think one of the most interesting divisions, just because depending on who you are, you can go so many different ways with this division. Timmy, first team.
Debating on if I want to keep their record or flex them a little bit. I'm actually really bullish on quite a few teams this year, and I think there's going to be a lot of new division winners this year. I think the Lions are the team. I love Dan Campbell. I think he's a great coach. He made that roster that has no players on it play well last year, and I think they have a better roster this year. They've gotten a lot of defensive talent in this last few drafts here, so I'm going to put them right at 11-6. I think that's all it's going to take to win this one. I had them at 12-5, but their defense is still a little shoddy and really young, so I'm going to keep them at 11-6.
I have them at 10-7. Actually, I just upped them because I had them at 9-8. But I still think, regardless, I have them winning the division. I think they're offensively, they're nice everywhere. I love Amon-Ra. And yeah, I think defensively, Aiden Hutchinson's going to improve, and they have a few pieces here and there. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be nice. So they've got a team. I think the Lions are going to be great. And shout out to Dan knee-taking Campbell on that.
I had the Lions at 10 wins originally, bumped them down to 9-8. Much like you guys love the offense, not so much the defense. At the end of the day, this kind of comes down to that they're still the Lions, and the fact that every everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, everywhere you listen, everybody is sipping the Lions Kool-Aid. This gives me some caution. So just because of the Lions, I'm taking some caution. I got them at 9-8. Again, do not love this defense. If Kelsey was playing on Thursday, I would think the Chiefs would put up goddamn near 40 on them. But I don't think that's going to happen now with Kelsey gone. Still could. I'm not in love with the Chiefs receiving core, but that's a discussion for another day.
No, they're not.
But this Lions team, there's a lot to like, and there's a lot to be questionable of. And I do like Dan Campbell's energy. Do want to see Dan Campbell in a big game and see what that looks like. Granted, I mentioned it earlier, went head-to-head with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, got the win.
And played well.
But now it's really time to prove it for the Lions. So 9-8. Let's move on to the next.
They finally have expectations. They went into that game not having the expectations. It was a road game. So they now have expectations because people have them up there. But, Timmy, you're good to go.
And they are the next cursed team in the whole entire NFL next to the Browns. Like, it's Browns, Lions, and then
Cowboys
Cowboys and Chargers somewhere in there. At least Cowboys got a ring, but Lions are poverty. Anyway.
Yes. What's up, Tim?
He's debating with his girl. So, I got 5 more minutes, but really we got 35 more minutes probably. He's like, 5-10.
All right, my bad. Second team in this division. It is tough because the Packers are such a well-coached team here. I just think the Bears are going to be a turnaround team this year. So I got them second, and I got them at 10-7.
Okay.
I've got the Bears winning half of those games. I've got them at 5-12. I think that Justin Fields will definitely have his best season. DJ Moore is going to help for sure. That defense is still not great. That offensive line is still not great, and that team is still not great. They are the bottom of my division for me, 5-12.
Likewise with Keenan, I got them at 6-11. They're the bottom of the division. I don't like their defense. I do like some of the pieces on offense, but you want to talk about someone they don't trust to throw. Justin Fields ranks below Jimmy G in that. Like, I think he threw some of the least of anybody in the last, I don't know, X amount of years. It's an insane stat. I don't have it off the top of my head.
No, it really is.
But they run a 1920s offense damn near with Fields. If it is going to be something for the Bears, I see it a year or two down the line. Definitely not this year. I'm intrigued more. Tell me more about this 10-win team because I'm intrigued. Like, do you see Fields developing more as a passer? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, and we've had this conversation before. Exactly. It's just anytime they trade for a wide receiver, that is good. The quarterback gets better. He obviously didn't set the bar too high last year passing-wise, so pretty much anything is an improvement this year. And I do like other pieces that they have. I think Khalil Herbert could be great. Potentially, a starter every single week in fantasy. So I like him, and I think the division is kind of bad this year. So
Gino will be happy to hear that. Yeah. Shouts to Gene.
Yeah, Gene will be absolutely happy to hear that. Sorry, Gene. 5-12. Fair enough. All right. Number 3.
I got the Packers right behind them at 9-8. I think they're an interesting team. I don't know if Jordan Love can really get it done, but Aaron Rodgers didn't exactly get it done last year, and they were 9-8 or 8-9 last year. So that's where I got them.
I have them 9-8 as well. I think that defense is still top 10 in the league. They've got pieces everywhere all over that defense, especially if you have Jair Alexander healthy all season. And offensively, I think this is going to be the first year you really see Matt LaFleur run his offense. He comes from that Sean McVay tree where they are really run first, establish a run, then play action, which is why you see it with Kyle Shanahan. You see it with all these coaches that the run game is still alive and well. It's just by committee now instead of just having bell cows. I think Aaron Jones could have maybe his biggest season yet, and A.J. Dillon's going to play a big role. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. We'll see what Christian Watson can do. I like this team. I actually have them sneaking into the playoffs. I have them second in the division at 9-8.
I'll take it a step further. I got the Packers winning the division. I see this being pretty much like Russ to the Broncos last year, and how the Seahawks bounced back, I see this being a 2.0 version of that. This division's weak enough.
I like that.
The Lions got enough holes. The Bears, as I said, I don't think they're the most talented, and the Vikings are the Vikings. Whatever. The Vikings are kind of the wild card in this division, but I like their coaching staff. I just think Jordan Love's going to have a good control of this offense. I think he's going to have low-key a good year. Like I said, I think it's going to be very much like Geno, but the difference
He's been there long enough.
Exactly. Difference is, I'm not saying Jordan Love's as talented as Aaron Rodgers. He's definitely not. But this is the exact situation that happened with Rodgers and Favre, including the same team going to the Jets. There was big controversy when they took Jordan Love while Aaron Rodgers was still on the team. And, what happened. They didn't go out and
around the same pick, too.
Yeah, and they didn't go out and get another backup, which shows like they're ready for this guy. They plan on him being here for the long term. I was thinking this is very much like the Celtics and their head coaches, not to make a basketball reference, but, it was Doc, Brad Stevens, and Udoka. They would have planned on him being there 10 years, as long as he wanted to be there. That would have been the plan. That's very much how the Packers operate at the quarterback position. They trust Jordan Love. He'll be there. LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the league. You combine that with the continuity that they already have and a roster that all of us liked last year. We all had Green Bay as contender probably going into the year last year. No reason why Jordan Love, whether it's game managing, whether it's him showing his true ability, no reason why Jordan Love can't lead this team to the postseason. Division winner, 10-7.
I agree with everything. Obviously, I don't have the same outcome, but if they won the division at 10-7, would not shock me in the slightest. Timmy, you were good with that last team. What do you have Minnesota at?
I have Minnesota at 7-10. I think they're still they're not a contender in it by any means, but they're still a competitive team. Last year, I think they were 9-1 in one-score games, so they can get it done if they need to. But I just don't think they're going to swing that way this year.
They might have even been
their defense is really good. Games. I think so. They might have been 9-0.
I think they're 11-0. To be completely honest with you, in one-score games. I think it was something stupid like that. Do you have any more to say on the Vikings?
Mainly just their defense is bad. They obviously have the offense and the coach to do it, but their defense is just so bad that I don't think they're going to be able to really hang in there with the other teams.
Yeah, no, their defense is not good. They took a little bit step back at running back. I think Alexander Madison's good. He's not Dalvin Cook. Their wide receiving crop is one of the better crops in the league, obviously, when you have Justin Jefferson. But 7-10, I have them there as well. I think you regress to the mean. If you are anywhere between 9-0 and 11-0 in one-score games, you're going to go 5-5. That brings you from 13 to 8, 7-8 right there. So I think you regress to the mean. I have them 7-10.
I have them at 8-9. Would not be surprised to see them flip with the Lions and go 9-8, and maybe the Lions go 8-9. There is a pathway to them winning the division again. Like you guys, I think they take a step back in these one-score games. That's not going to happen again. They got some lucky wins last year. They also had some gutsy wins last year. But they have enough on offense. Kirk Cousins, say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He can get it done. He can do the job. I just kind of see them taking a step back along with the emergence of the Lions. And obviously what I said about the Packers, I just think they're kind of the odd man out. But this division's weirdly weak and competitive at the same time. It's a really weird division. And I think it's going to make for some really good games, especially between the trio of the Vikings, Pack, and the Lions.
The AFC East, the AFC North, those are A's. You have the AFC West. It's an A-. This is a B- to B division, but everybody's within a C- to a B. So it's competitive, but it's just a step down from the top divisions in the league. It's going to be an interesting division this year. And the AFC South, finally, we are at the end. And then we get into everything else. But AFC South, what do we got?
We saved what, in my opinion, is the worst division for last. Two teams that I could totally see getting the first overall pick, which would be interesting if it was the Panthers. First overall, I think the Saints are the best team here, mainly because their defense and their schedule. Their defense is actually pretty solid. They have some pieces, and then they don't play very good quarterbacks throughout the entire year. So I think just that alone is going to keep them in a lot of games, and then their offense is good enough with Olave and Derek Carr to be fine. So I got them right at 10-7 winning this division.
I have them at 9-8, winning the division. I was so close to not having them win the division, but I have them at 9-8, winning the division just by default. They've got a good defense. I don't like their coach whatsoever, but I think just because of how bad the division is, they might squeak into it.
Trash division. I do not like their coach at all. That being said, Tim was being nice when he said they have an easy schedule. They might have the easiest schedule I've ever seen. We talked about the Vikings last year. Vikings were somehow a 13-win team last year, right? 12 or 13 wins. I could 13. Easily see that be the Saints this year. Easily see. I could see the Saints being a 1 seed. I don't think that's crazy to say. Like, if you look at their schedule, it's literally there's tough games, but there's no like, oh shit, they got to go there at that point in the year. Like, they have one of the easiest schedules I've ever seen. I got them at 11.
Plus, they get the NFC South. That's 6 games of terrible quarterback play.
Exactly. So. Yeah, their only challenging games in that division is going to be Atlanta, and that's going to be by virtue of coaching because I'm not in love with Ritter at quarterback. But I got them at 11-6. Wouldn't be shocked to see that get to 12 or 13. And it's not by their talent, and they do have talent. They got Michael Thomas coming back. Kamara at some point will be back. I think Carr's going to have a bounce back season. Jamal Williams. I think Carr's going to have a bounce back season. I don't think what we saw last year is necessarily what we're going to continue to see. But yeah, by default,
this player that pisses me off more than Michael Thomas.
He is a weird one. But
he pisses me off.
Yeah, I see them by default 11-6. I do see Atlanta pushing them, but again, would not be surprised me to see them be a 12 or 13 win team.
Oh my
by division and by schedule. That schedule's cupcake.
Their best team, they're either the Patriots or the Packers.
Yeah, no, that schedule's cupcake.
He's not joking when he said they could win 13.
No, Titans, Panthers, Packers, Bucks, Patriots, Texans. Like they have the NFC South, the AFC South, the NFC South, and every worst no division winner.
Imagine if they
play like the Rams.
Imagine if they play the Rams. That schedule.
God, dog, man,
go 17-0.
Maybe. All right, who's next?
Next, I got the Falcons. The Falcons are actually a very interesting team. One of the best they were the best rushing team last year, and they did it with a rookie. They're going to do it again with a rookie, and he's going to break the rookie record for the second year in a row. They're going to reset the rookie record here on rushing. So I got them 7-10, and I think they're just going to be such a run-heavy team that they're going to control the clock. They don't really need
Ritter.
Whatever his name is, Ritter, to really do anything, which is weird because they actually have offensive stars. I think Drake London could be amazing, and I think Kyle Pitts could be good if they designed a play for him every once in a while, maybe. But they're just going to run, and they're going to control the clock. They're going to get 7-8 wins. I got them at 7-10. So
I was absolutely low on this team last year, to Kyle's dismay. I am not low on this team this year. I have them at 7-10, and a lot of my body wanted to pick them to win the division, but a lot of my mind, body, and soul wanted to. But yeah, we're not going to mention that guy. Desmond Ritter is the only reason why this team is not the division winner. 7-10. That's all I need to say. Desmond Ritter's the only reason.
I got the Falcons at 9-8. They're one of the teams I cannot wait to watch this Sunday.
Yes.
I think they're going to be incredibly fun to watch between Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, seeing what Ritter is.
Horns.
They're well coached. My boy Tyler Algier in the cut too. So yeah, no, I think
your
RB2. Right? Yeah, it's looking scary over there. I rebounded to my other leagues, but I plan on. I mean, my team's called DeMar Hamlin's Heart. We're going to be a scrappy team. We're going to be on the waiver wire. We got some picks that were reaches that might be good. So, look out for us in the later weeks. But I got them at 9-8. I think they're well coached. I think they'll put the fear in God in some teams. And this team has real potential if Ritter is anything. I just don't know if he is, in fact, anything at all. If he's game managing, then, they'll be scary. They'll be much like the Steelers, among other teams where they're just, making you fight to the death. But I do like their roster. Do not like the quarterback. I love the coaching staff. And I can't wait to see what Bijan looks like, among other things. But 9-8, wild card fringe team. We'll see. I got a lot of 9-8s in both conferences.
Yep. Timmy, you're next. Which team's in third? I know we don't care about these last two teams all that much.
I have the Panthers in third. Sad to say, but I have more faith in Bryce Young than I do Baker Mayfield. And this team, also a good rushing team. They can run. So I kind of like this team a little bit more. I don't really like either of these teams, but they brought in some decent offensive guys. Adam Thielen, probably overpaid, probably not worth anything. Hayden Hurst, I actually really like Hayden Hurst. I think he's very good. Obviously not like top 5, but I think he's going to be a target machine there because rookies usually like their tight ends. So I still got them pretty bad at 4-13, but I think a lot of people have this team winning the division, which is kind of crazy. But
yeah, I think that's wild. I have them at 6-11. I like Bryce Young a lot. I think he's very, very talented. He's a quarterback that if he was 6'4", he might not be exactly what people were talking about in Trevor Lawrence, but he can do everything very well. Mm-hmm. So it's really just the height with him, which made him not be like touted as that kind of prospect. So I like him a lot. They're going to have their offensive coordinator was under the McVay tree. They got Miles Sanders. They're going to run the ball heavy. They really don't have wide receivers at all, but I think they're going to be a competitive team. 6-11 is where I got them.
I got them at 5-12. I do have questions about the offense, less questions about the defense, more so on their offensive line. But if their line's good, then I do see them being competitive, especially in those Falcons, Saints, and the Bucks. Tom Brady leaves the team. I completely forget about him. Look at that. I couldn't even remember the team. But yeah, I don't know. They're kind of a wild card in general. I don't see them pushing for the playoffs. I agree. I think fucking people taking them for the division's kind of insane. But, if there's a Falcons injury in there, they could definitely, I guess, usurp them. But we'll see. Frank Reich seems to be good with the quarterbacks. I guess that's a good pickup there. We'll see. They're one of my biggest we'll see teams as far as the lower end.
Yeah.
I don't think they're mid-tier, but they could sneak into that mid-tier.
Yep.
That's really it.
And last but actually least, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They might not be the worst team in football, but they're definitely the worst team
in this division.
So I got them at 3-14. Don't think they're really going to be competing for much. I could realistically see Mike Evans being traded a month into the season. That would not blow my mind. That might even be good for them because then Baker will only have one guy to throw it to and not multiple. So,
yeah. So last year their defense had holes with Tom. I think their defense is going to have holes without Tom. They're not really great. They're 5-12. If they won 6, I wouldn't be shocked. If they won 2, I would probably be like, okay, not great.
4-13, 1 win for each of the teams that Baker Mayfield has been on since last offseason.
That's actually a very interesting take. All right, so we are through the divisions.
Can I say this? Let's do bold predictions now. Then we'll do our awards, and then we'll do our Final Four for each conference because this has gone a bit longer than I think we could have thought.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
Tim, you got your predictions ready?
Yep. You want to do me one at a time? We rotate around?
Go all three. Go all three.
My first one, I'm calling it. I wasn't ever one of these guys in the last couple of years, but people were. I think this is the year that Derrick Henry declines and is no longer a stud. Mm-hmm. I'm saying he fails to reach 1,000 rushing yards this year.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's my one.
Okay.
I think mainly it's just age, and then the team just isn't really that good either. So
good one.
And then the second one isn't really a bold take. I see me and Keenan kind of both agree on this. I think Deshaun Watson has a bounce back year. I think he gets probably close to 30 touchdowns this year. They're still going to lose games, but I think he does impress people. He's not the Deshaun Watson that we saw last year. I think he gets closer to that MVP.
That one was not bold enough for me. If you would have said Deshaun for MVP, I would have been happy.
I can't put Deshaun for MVP and then say the team's going to go 8-9. I just really can't. I mean, if I was saying that they were like an 11-win team and then MVP, like,
or if you said like Deshaun, like 5 touchdowns in one game, 6 touchdowns in one game,
I could see that. I really could see that. but he'd have to rush a couple, I think. And then my final one, this is the true breakout season for Bradley Chubb. He's having 17 sacks this year. He's going to be a monster.
Okay. So I got 3. Bijan Robinson has 300 yards from scrimmage. That's including receiving and rushing. That's 1. 2. Sauce Gardner goes a stretch of 4 weeks without Actually, I'm going to go 5 weeks without allowing 1 completion on him. That is 2. And Burrow goes for 600. Those are my 3.
Same division, same number of yards, different way though. I got Lamar going for a combined 600 yards.
I like it.
I think I always throw out at least 500 or 600 yards each year, hoping it'll stick.
Yeah. Same thing as quadruple double every single year. Every year someone's getting one.
Someone's getting one this year. Spoiler alert for October. But second one, I've probably done a variation of this. I think Micah Parsons gets 8 sacks in one game. Put that down. That's a bold prediction. That's why we call them bold predictions. They're not
5 would be bold.
Hey, we're going even bolder. He's gonna be on his LT on steroids shit and get 8 sacks in one game.
God, who's guarding him?
Exactly.
Nobody.
That's exactly my point. Who's guarding him?
They got that like inflatable guy that you just hit, and they're like he's just standing out there.
That's why we call them bold predictions and not just predictions. And then this last one is very bold. I can't remember the last one we've seen. It's actually just a general one. I don't have the 2 parties involved that I'm picking for this, but we're going to have one bench clearing brawl in the NFL this year. We're due for one. We haven't had a good fight in a while, and that's my prediction. I'm leaning towards it being 2 NFC South teams, though. I will say that.
I think it's AFC North. I think it's like Steelers, Browns, or something like that, and they just all the coaches are in it too. Oh. Tomlin's out there just.
Part 2 when Myles Garrett hits.
Yeah.
Part 2.
That's what I like.
Let Myles Garrett do something crazy. All right, those bold predictions.
Those are good bold predictions, though. I like all 9 of those.
All right, so we'll start. Timmy, do you have a comeback player of the year?
Ooh, I did not do comeback. I'll think about it.
You're fine. Defensive rookie of the year.
Defensive rookie of the year, I got Jalen Carter. I think he's set up for success here. So.
Yep. Okay, Kyle. You go next.
Oh, I'm going second now.
Yeah, I'll have just because you go second, I'll go third on this one.
I'm just gonna do a homer pick. I think Carter seems to be the favorite everywhere, but I'm gonna go with Christian Gonzalez. Shouts to the Pats.
I was thinking about doing that, but then I saw that he's like not technically a starter on their team. He rotates in, I guess. So I kind of pulled him out. I just don't know how much of the snaps he's really going to see. But I do like Gonzalez. I think he fell way far in the draft. So
we got to steal.
I'm going with the best defensive player in this draft, which is Will Anderson.
That's fine.
And that's I feel chalk, but I don't really.
He could get 12 sacks, and that's plenty to get him the defensive player.
Will Anderson's my guy. Offensive rookie of the year, I feel like we have one person, maybe 2.
It's so hard because I wanted to go wide receiver so bad. I love Quentin Johnston. I think he's going to have decent.
Yep.
Jordan Addison could be great, and I love Zay Flowers.
Jackson.
So all 3 of those guys. What?
And
I don't love Jackson just because right now he's their wide receiver 3.
That's
so
true.
He's only in there in 11 personnel, and then he also has this surgery, so he's going to miss a couple games, and that's a big deal when it comes to running for these events or running for these awards. So you miss 3 or 4 games, you're completely out of it, I think. So my offensive rookie of the year, it's so hard not to pick Bijan. The man's going to get 300 touches this year. It's literally his backfield. Well,
you got Bijan.
Mostly his backfield.
Keenan, you definitely got Bijan. I got Bijan.
How come once? Like this is simple.
Can we go back to before we get to like the real meat and potatoes of these awards? Can we go back to comeback player of the year?
Yep, I already got one.
I was just making sure Timmy had it, so I have mine already.
I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams. I think he's I thought he was the guy last year. If he's really ready to play and he's healthy, I think he's a great running back. I think he's gonna impress. He might be the bright spot of that bad team. So
yep.
See, I thought we were gonna go the Bijan route here because I think if DeMar Hamlin plays one full game, he like almost wins his award by default. So I picked him just because I feel like he's just going to be the obvious winner. Just because,
Yeah.
Your dad.
Okay. Well, now that you mentioned that, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, he'll probably will win it, especially if he let him have like 2 picks. Let him return one for a touchdown. His first game, if he returns one for a touchdown, it's in the bag. But actually, I have Calvin Ridley. I think that Calvin Ridley is going to have an amazing season with Trevor Lawrence. All right. So I'm going to go defensive player of the year first. Timmy, who you got?
I think this guy got a little bit gypped last year, getting no first place votes, but I'm going Micah Parsons on this one. Mm-hmm. I like the 8 sacks in one game. I think that's a little bold, but I think he's going to have an outstanding year this year, even if that team sucks. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I got Micah. Best defensive player in the league, best pass rusher in the league, second coming of LT, some would say. Not on LT's level, but probably the closest we've had in general since LT. I can't speak to that. I wasn't really alive back then, but older heads would say he's the closest to LT. That being said, go get those 8 sacks, and then we'll see where it is.
We're cooking with the sauce. We're cooking with Sauce Gardner.
Sauce. Right.
We're cooking with Sauce Gardner. Rookie, first team All-Pro as a rookie. Yup, we're going with it. Absolutely. I love having a corner do this. Obviously, Stephon Gilmore, and then before that, I can't even remember the last corner that one. Maybe Revis did, but yeah, Sauce Gardner.
Did Trayvon Diggs not win it 2 years ago?
Nope.
He didn't?
Nope.
Who was it that year?
Aaron Donald, probably.
Yep.
Huh.
What about Offensive Player of the Year? Who we got?
Timmy, you go. Who you got here?
I don't think he's breaking 2,000, but I think he's going for a lot of them. I got Tyreek Hill. I think he's electric, yeah.
Okay. Keenan, who you got?
Kyle, do you want me to go next, or do you want to?
You go ahead.
All right, so interestingly enough, I'm actually going with someone who's probably not on anybody's radar. I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's a great pick.
No, I like it.
I think that 1,511 to 12 touchdowns is not out of the realm of possibility.
I was going very much outside the box here, feeling less confident in this pick now that there's some injury concerns here. But Travis Kelce, I could see him absolutely having an insane year, being the number 1 target. But if he's out for a month, you can cancel that. But
yeah, of course,
he's going to have the green light in a way that Gronk would have if Gronk could ever play 16 games. I mean, Gronk did have the green light, but there was a world where
Gronk played 16 games and had 17 touchdowns. He was a freak.
Gronk. The fact that Gronk didn't win Offensive Player of the Year as a tight end is a testament to his health, because he was some years the most dominant offensive force as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, Coach of the Year. Who do we have across the board?
Do me last. Let me think real quick. Didn't do Coach of the Year.
Okay, I'll start it off. I've got Zach Taylor as my Coach of the Year. I got the Bengals 14-3. There's going to be 1 clear of the Chiefs and 2 clear of everybody else. So I got Zach Taylor.
You still thinking, Tim?
I got it.
You got it? All right.
I believe in the Jets. If they really pull it off this year and go 14 wins, it's Robert Saleh. That's the biggest turnaround. So
yeah, I agree with that.
If you remember from my records, there's not a lot of parity, or there is a lot of parity, I should say. There's a ton of parity. Same with last year. Like, the only team I really had separating from the pack was the Eagles, and I had Serini as Coach of the Year. He did not get it. I think Dable got it. So Sereni's kind of due for one. I could see, I have them as, I think, the highest winning team. And actually who I have written down here is Sean Payton and Mike Tomlin. But I have Tomlin and the Steelers coming in third. Sean Payton's, if they can get to 10 wins. So I'm going to go with, and I don't like this coach at all, Brandon Staley, because I had the Chargers at 12 wins. So I could see him in true Chargers fashion, in true Marty Schottenheimer fashion. Second time he's been name dropped, was not expecting that. But I could see him getting Coach of the Year, then getting canned right after that. So that's my prediction.
All right. And Timmy, MVP. I'm guessing it's the trifecta?
I don't know. Maybe. I got Joe Burrow. I think he's the best QB. It's a QB's award.
Yep. I have Joe Burrow as well. To make this short, I think that he's the only quarterback to go over 5,000 this year. Obviously, I have the Bengals 14-3. So, I mean, Mahomes could go over 5,000 or Allen, but I think he might be the only one that does. And Kyle,
I've got Jalen Hurts as my MVP.
Ooh, you got him winning it.
Got him winning it. He's gonna
interesting.
He's gonna have progression. I mean, I know the OC's gone, but I see him continuing to progress as a passer.
That might actually be better for his case. Like even with the change, he's still
could be.
That could be interesting for his case.
Could be.
But I like the MVPs. Timmy and I both have Joey B. But alrighty.
Championship weekend.
So
who you guys got?
Championship weekend. Timmy, you start off.
I don't want to start. Let me go last.
Okay, he called it.
I've been starting the whole thing, so.
Okay.
Just give me this one.
AFC. I'll start. AFC, I've got Cincy and KC. I think the way it shakes out, I've got Cincy over Jacksonville in the divisional. I've got KC over Miami in the divisional. And then in the NFC, I still haven't chosen yet, but we're going to choose right on the spot. I've been literally deciding. I've got, okay,
So wait, you haven't done that? Oh, man, Super Bowl winner?
Oh, I have a Super Bowl winner.
Okay.
So I am actually going to do something a little out there. I'm going Seattle over Philly in the divisional.
Wow.
And then I'm going San Fran over Dallas in the divisional. So I've got Seattle versus San Fran.
NFC West.
I have that same combo, by the way.
Oh.
Oh God, I don't have Dallas in there, but I got Philly in there, and I got the Giants squeaking in. I got Seattle over Giants, Philly over San Fran, or San Fran over Philly.
Okay, so we both. And who is your AFC? Since you just said your NFC.
Sorry, AFC. I've got in the championship weekend, Miami versus Cincinnati, and I got Cincinnati winning that one. So similar to you, I have Miami versus Kansas City, but I think Miami's going to win that. And then Cincy versus the Jets, and Cincy wins.
Well, why do we have the same playoffs? That's weird. We haven't even talked about it. Kyle, what is your playoff?
So wait, what's your Super Bowl winner? Or what's your Super Bowl matchup?
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I thought we were going to – Super Bowl matchup? Okay. Mine or his?
Both.
All right, Timmy, you go.
I got Cincinnati versus Seattle.
Hold the winner. Hold on the winner. So I like that. That's outside the box. King, what you got?
Likewise.
Seattle. I got to say.
I wrote this down. I didn't want to be like copying or accused of copying, but I literally wrote this down like hours ago.
I'm shocked. I got to say, last year, one of the biggest debates me and Keenan had, Keenan thought the Falcons and the Seahawks were going to be pretty bad, and I had them at least improving, right? And then obviously I like the Seahawks as they went along. I was completely prepared to be like the Seahawks guy on this podcast as far as like where they go, how deep they go. I thought they were going to win the division. I flipped on that. Weirdly, I'm the most generic out of all of you. I got the same exact Final Four as last year, Eagles, Niners, and I've got Cincy, KC. I've got Cincinnati in the Super Bowl like all of you, though. I got KC losing, and I got the Eagles going back. So I got Eagles, Cincy in Vegas. You guys both got the Seahawks and the Bengals.
So here's the thing. If you would have asked me this 5 hours ago, I had Philly. But I just...
What changed? What changed to the Seahawks?
What changed was... I have a feeling the Eagles are going to take a touch step back, and there's something to be said about a team when they kind of get hot and they have a camaraderie. Seattle's just a team I could just see going on a run. I like Geno. I love Kenneth Walker. Their receiving core is very good. Their offensive line is workable. Their defense isn't like they got Bobby Wagner back. Their defense is going to be energetic and let them. I don't have them actually. I have them on the road. They travel because their run game will travel and they have players that will travel. So it's out on a limb a little bit, but I do have the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I have them as my 1 seed, so they're home field advantage for me.
Oh,
but,
and if they
huge
are
with
the
12th
1
man,
seed,
so, yeah,
that
it's game
12th
over.
man with the 1 seed, that could get spooky. that can get dark.
One thing I'll say with San Francisco compared to the Seahawks, I could see like if the Niners lose McCaffrey, that's a problem. You know, whereas the Seahawks have depth and you do need a running game in the playoffs. They're a McCaffrey injury away. Whereas they can lose some depth at wide receiver, they cannot lose it at running back. So
no.
But I don't know. They just have so much talent. And I really did. I planned all goddamn summer on, Seahawks being my team in the NFC West, picking the Seahawks to at least go to the championship game. And I don't even have them going to the championship game. But, if there was going to be a team to throw in the Niners and all that talent, it's going to be someone from their own division. But I literally have the same exact Final Four. I see the Bengals breaking through. Eagles, I think, are the class of the NFC. I don't see them having much problems unless it is the Niners or the Seahawks or the Cowboys. But, we'll see how that all shakes out. I have a feeling I know who your guys' winner is here. Are you guys each picking the Bengals?
Can we get it to focus? No. I got Cincinnati as the winner.
Yeah, Cincinnati as my winner as well. I think this is the year of Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously, his second year in the league, he got there in a kind of shock. Last year, he came and he showed, it's like, okay, no, I'm really him here to stay. And I think this is the year. MVP, Super Bowl winner, and then we get to hear all off season that he's the best quarterback in the league, and then Mahomes is going to get pissed off and probably go get 600 or 60 touchdowns.
We're going to have back-to-back MVP, Super Bowl MVP.
And that hadn't happened since a while. I think it was Terrell Davis in 99. 98. I think that was the last MVP who won the Super Bowl. Either that one or it was Kurt Warner or Marshall Faulk. One of the two. It was in that stretch. I don't think it had happened in the 21st century.
Yeah, I think Kurt Warner
could be wrong. I think it was Kurt Warner was the last one. I don't think it happened in the 21st century technically because that was the 99 2000.
Usually the MVP is a curse. Look, we all got the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I have them losing to the Eagles. I think the Eagles are the class of the NFL. I think they're damn near far and away the best team. I think they have that much talent. Like I said, they remind me very much of those early Seahawks teams. Seahawks, I think, got to the NFC Championship game in that first year with Russ. I don't really remember. My memory's foggy. Year 2, they were in the Super Bowl and won it. I see it going the same. They play so well from ahead. The only slip-ups I really see are going to be during the regular season due to the schedule, due to maybe losing to Dallas, due to maybe losing to one of the top-tier AFC teams here and there that'll get them to 5 losses. But in the postseason, I don't see anybody really. They're going to have their trouble. They're going to be tough games. But I think they are the best team in the entire NFL, and I think they will prove that. So sophomore, no real hangover. I think they're only going to improve. Hurts is going to improve, which means they have to ascend. If they're playing from ahead, you're just not going to beat them. I don't see it happening.
I personally think that the Bengals will show that their offense is so powerful and they have the best offense in the league, and their defense has been so opportunistic in the playoffs with big plays when it comes to big moments. They don't shy away, and when you have Joe Cool, same thing when you have Mahomes, when you have Brady, when you have Peyton Manning, when you have Aaron Rodgers. When you have these top quarterbacks, I'm not even saying Jalen Hurts isn't that guy either, but when you have him, just the entire locker room's cool. So in those moments, they've already been to a Super Bowl. They've been to 2 AFC Championship games. They're poised. They're ready. I think this is the year of Cincinnati.
It's got to be this year. It's got to be this year for them.
I do think it's got to be this year. I think because next year gets dicey because I think you lose T. Higgins. They're always competitive, and I think you have a 2-year reboot where it's kind of or if they don't, it's just showing how good Joe Burrow really is. But you kind of have that work it around kind of reboot. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Two things I want to respond to what you said. One being their defense. You mentioned in the postseason. You could make the case that that their defense has been the real star in these games. Not saying that Joe Burrow hasn't made good throws when he's needed to. I think it's been too much that he's been compared to like Brady and these guys in those moments, which he is Joe Cool. Don't get me wrong, but we hear a lot of Tom Brady, Joe Montana with him. Where I think the real star on these postseason runs has been more so their defense, especially that first postseason run on the way to the Super Bowl.
He's been more Tom Brady 03, 01, 03 in the playoffs. Like in the regular season, he's been better than what that Tom was.
For sure.
But in the playoffs, he's been that Tom Brady 03, 04 where it's, I'm going to take 10 sacks against the Titans. I'm only going to throw one pick to Tannehill's 3. I'm going to make the right plays. He threw one bad ball pretty much all game.
I got to say, that first run, like that Titans game and all that, like year one, I thought that was a very fluky run. I don't think he played necessarily well in those games, and they kind of, like, especially that KC game. Mahomes, they had the ball, first and goal at the 3, and then they end up
it was right before the half, and then right before the half. Oh, no, that one, yes. So, like, there was... With Joe Burrow, it's been very interesting with his postseason. He's had no bad games, but he's had one like great game, and I'd say that was against the Bills. I think he played phenomenal against the Bills. I think he played a really good game against the Raiders. But again, like Tom Brady, he's been like early Tom, not late Tom, but early Tom, where it was, I'm not gonna make the mistake because my defense is doing so well. I'm gonna put us in position to always stay close. And then we're going to go make plays. And whoever is scoring, if it's Joe Mixon, if it's Samaje Perine on runs, whatever, I just want to win the game. And I think this year it might be that step into, no, I'm really like, I know I'm him, but like this is like 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks showing out in the playoffs, that kind of thing.
I just thought there was fluky moments, more specifically during that first run. That's it, really. And by the way, I'm talking about, this is coming from someone who's a fan of a team that built everything based off the Tuck rule.
Off a Tuck
rule. But, there was just that Raiders game was weird, and I think they played the Titans next. That was weird. Like, they very easily could have lost both those games.
Derek Carr threw a pick at the end of that Raiders game. Tannehill threw a pick at the end of that game. Mahomes threw a pick at the end of the KC game, and then they were driving down, and Aaron Donald made a huge play on fourth down. It
was more so things that happened, like, I don't want to get into it because we're done this podcast, but, like, that Raiders game, there was a weird play where they blew a whistle and it could have been a score. Something weird happened in the Titans game with clock management. I've mentioned Mahomes time and time again, that weird-ass last drive. I just thought – and then they came out of that, and I guess it's more just like ESPN shit where they came out of that talking about Brady, Joe Burrow, and I'm
the weird T. Higgins touchdown in the Super Bowl that was like supposed to be a penalty but wasn't a penalty. Like that
grabbed
whole
his mask bad.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to say –
But Timmy – oh, sorry.
Real quick.
Last
thing I wanted to say, you kind of alluded to it, Keenan, about how there's like this 2-year drop off, whatever. I had KC going 10-7. I think this is just the year where they struggle. But whenever it is, they reload and like, because it's gonna come back around where they just have a receiver where you're like, how the fuck did he end up with Mahomes? And it's just gonna be scary. Like I could see in 2 years where they're back to this team that's like 12, 13, 14 win team. I don't see it this year. I really don't. I think just law of averages, you're going to have a bad year here or there. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think they scrap their way to the championship game. Much like that year, Keenan, or pick a year where we lost to the Broncos in the AFC championship game, the Pats. I think it'll be that type of year for the Chiefs, but they'll be around forever.
All right.
Until Mahomes decides.
Timmy, lasting thoughts on everything for you? But yes, Kyle, I agree.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, this was the Warner Brothas Podcast. Follow us, Instagram, Warner Brothas Podcast, YouTube, the Warner Brothas Podcast, TikTok, the Warner Brothas, everywhere the Warner Brothas Podcast. It's the same thing across all platforms. Thank you to all viewers. Thank you to all listeners, and we're out.